The strongest copy of Dragon Ball. Chapter 61. Then Lin Yan set off on the universe spaceship, leaving only Bulma and Son Goku in place. 3 years later, artificial humans. This is too funny. How could Lin Yan know what will happen 3 years later? After Lin Yan left completely, Keelan spoke to the three of Son Goku in disbelief. He didn't believe that Lin Yan had the ability to be a prophet, but he couldn't ask directly just now. He could only speak to Son Goku with a suspicious tone at this time. Who would have expected what would happen 3 years later? Ah, it is indeed a bit unbelievable. Son Goku also nodded. Why didn't he doubt what Lin Yan said? But I can see from his eyes that he didn't tell lies, and he doesn't need to use this kind of thing to lie to us. It doesn't do him any good to lie to us. Then Son Goku explained again. With Lin Yan's strength, there is no need to deceive them with this kind of thing. As he said, Kaioken will indeed place a great burden on the human body, especially the heart, so the chronic heart disease he mentioned is not groundless. And he always felt that this guy Lin Yan was a bit strange, too strong and a little too outrageous, with a very mysterious feeling. It was as if everything was in his expectation. I believe that Lin Yan is not the kind of person who talks about it. Bulma also hurriedly opened her mouth to excuse Lin Yan, but she was not acting out of emotion, but after getting in touch with Lin Yan this month, she believed that Lin Yan was definitely not the kind of person who would deceive them. And he doesn't have to. Lin Yan uncle, although I don't believe that dad will die of a heart attack, but I also think that Lin Yan uncle did not lie to us. At this time, Son Gohan also opened his mouth and said to Keelan. Ah, I didn't say that Lin Yan lied to us, I just think this thing is a bit too incredible, haha. Seeing that the three of them chose to believe Lin Yan's words, Keelan could only scratch his bald head and smile awkwardly. After all, Lin Yan saved them many times, since everyone said so, it would be a bit too much for him to doubt him again. Well, regardless of whether artificial humans will appear in 3 years or not, we have to practice hard and see that guy next time. I don't want to be left too far behind by him. There was a gleam in Son Goku's eyes, and he was really looking forward to the return of the artificial man and Lin Yan who appeared 3 years later. Aha! Son Gohan and Keelan also nodded heavily. In this Frieza incident, they did not help any, and even became a burden to Goku and the others. But next time, they must practice hard and strive to help them. Then Son Goku and Son Gohan returned home, and Klin returned to the Guaxian house. After Bulma looked at the direction Lin Yan left, he also went back. In this way, time passed day after day. The 6th universe. At this time, on the planet Shirata in the 6th universe, that is the planet where all the Saiyans gather. Captain Gabe, what should we do now? I didn't expect this evil guy to defeat all the members of our Lhasa Defense Army. Even Caulifla and Kale have already been defeated. The one who spoke was a big guy with jet black hair who also looked like a Saiyan. He said with a heavy face. And in front of him, stood a boy with the appearance of a child, about 15 or 16 years old, with a frail figure, black's hair stood up high, and a bunch of bangs on his forehead. If Lin Yan was here, he would be very familiar with this guy. He is the 6th universe Saiyan Gabe who will follow Champa to participate in the 6th universe and 7th universe Earth battle and tournament of power. At this moment, Gabe frowned tightly, seeming a little surprised. How is it possible? Caulifla and Kale are much stronger than those guys. Gabe said in disbelief. Those universe invaders, although they can be regarded as having some strength, even among their Lay's elite guards, there are very few people who are their opponents. But Caulifla and Kale are almost as strong as themselves, and it is absolutely impossible to lose to those guys. The only possibility is, those guys must have used some shady means. Or, there is some great big shot behind him. Captain Gabe, then, do we need to ask Captain Frost for help? The big man behind Gabe asked Gabe. Although Caulifla and Kale are female Saiyans, they are notoriously strong on their planet Shirata. He can completely compete with Captain Gabe in front of him, and even they are defeated, so those universe villains must be quite tricky. Even if Captain Gabe made a shot, he might not be able to win them. Captain Frost. When he mumbled the name Frost, there was a look of respect in Gabe's eyes. Everyone in this universe knows that the name Forte Ross is the embodiment of justice and peace. punish rape and eradicate evil, and uphold justice. Wherever there is evil and aggression, there is Captain Frost. Moreover, Captain Frost has always been his idol. Although it's not good to alarm Captain Forte Ross because of such a small matter, the strength of those guys is unknown now, and it is related to the safety of the entire planet Sharada. Anyway, let Captain Forte Ross be informed. Gabe gritted his teeth and said hesitantly, "Hey, what are you afraid of? Doesn't Captain Foster like to do this kind of work of supporting justice, punishing evil and promoting good?" The big man smiled and said casually, "Zulu, watch your words." Gabe turned his head suddenly, and said to the big guy with a look in his eyes, Yes, Captain Gabe." Looking at Gabe's serious gaze, Zulu quickly stopped talking. He naturally knew that Captain Gabe admired Frost very much. At this time, above the planet Sharada, there is a huge spaceship of the universe hovering. Lord for Ross, Saiyan Gabe from planet Sharada has sent a distress signal. In the universe spaceship, the universe man who is qualified to pilot the universe spaceship turned his head and said to Frost behind him, "Oh, didn't you expect that group of Saiyans to be unable to hold on so soon?" A long arc was drawn at the corner of Frost's mouth, and a gloomy look flashed in his eyes. "Then, it's time to receive the fruits of victory." Then, Frost led his peacekeeping force into the planet Sharada. Russell. Just a few minutes later, a huge universe ship hovered over Gabe and Zulu and several other Saiyans. "It's the universe spaceship of the peacekeeping force. I didn't expect Captain Foster to come to support us so soon. It's great." The Saiyans behind Gabe looked up at the huge universe spaceship above them, and said excitedly, "The peacekeeping force led by Captain Frost is well known throughout the universe. Wherever there is war, or where there is an evil gang of bandits, you will definitely see Captain Frost and his peacekeeping force. It is precisely because of this great achievement that Captain Foster has won the Universe Peace Prize 3 times in a row. They are almost everyone's heroes, and their Saiyan is no exception." "Why so fast?" Looking at the excited crowd, Gabe didn't seem as excited as he imagined. He should be very happy to see his idol for Ross. However, it took only a few minutes for his own distress signal to inform Captain Frost, and he had already appeared on the planet Sharada. Could it be that Captain Frost already knew that the planet Sharada was under attack? Or maybe they're on another mission nearby. Or... Gabe shook his head, forcing himself not to think about such things anymore. At this time, the spaceship Universe landed directly behind Gabe, Zulu and the others. The guy who came out first had the skin of white and cyan blue all over his body, his head looked like he was wearing a helmet, and there were 2 pointed tentacles on both sides. If Lin Yan sees him, he will be very familiar. This guy looks exactly like Frieza from the 7th universe. Scarlet pupils, with a warm smile on his face. "Hey, Captain Gabe, long time no see." When Frost saw Gabe, his face was full of smiles, as if seeing an old friend who hadn't seen him for many years. He extended his palm to Gabe intimately. In his mind, he was thinking about other things. "This planet is really nice. If it is developed, it will definitely sell for a good price." Single quote. Thinking that he could make a lot of money soon, the smile on for Ross's face became even brighter. Captain Frost, I'm really sorry to bother you with such a trivial matter." Seeing the idol he admired again, Gabe was still a little excited, and said nervously, "The first time I met Captain Frost, I went on a mission with him to eliminate a group of universe pirates. But at that time, both of them had tasks to do, so they didn't talk about it. This time, I can finally communicate with my idol face to face." The little suspicion that appeared in my heart just now collapsed instantly when I saw the harmless smiling face of Foster. What did Brother Gabe say? "The main duty of our peacekeeping force is to punish rape and eradicate evil. It is my honor to be able to help you." Frost put his right hand in front of his chest, and said with a reverent expression. At this time, I put my posture very low, and no one who looked at it would be able to connect the Frost in front of me with the universe-level villain who resells the planet. Hey. Hearing Frost's kind words, Gabe scratched his head in embarrassment, not knowing how to thank Frost. And at this moment, suddenly a large group of universe people came in the air and appeared in front of Gabe and Frost. There are about 20 or 30 people here, and all of them are of good strength. Although there is no way to compare with Gabe, but compared to Zulu, it is still much stronger. That's someone from the peacekeeping force. Suddenly, among the group of universe people who just appeared, a sharp-eyed guy recognized Frost and his peacekeeping force. Now, what should we do now? After hearing the words of the peacekeeping force, the rest of the people panicked instantly, with timid expressions on their faces. In the entire universe, who knows the hateful for Ross and his peacekeeping force? It seems that we can only withdraw now. It is not a wise choice to fight against the peacekeeping force of Frost for the sake of a planet Sharada. One of the leaders spoke. However, in his eyes, there flashed an evil look of a successful plot, and he secretly thought, since Master for Ross is here, then the planet Sharada is already in his pocket, and I should retire as well. Single quote. The leader of the universe thought for a while, and then led the other universe people to retreat back in a swarm. And Caulifla and Kale were left in a coma. After the group of universe robbers left the planet Sharada, in a universe spaceship, there were more than 20 figures lying on the ground. They were the ones who attacked the planet Sharada and defeated Caulifla. It's just that there are two people standing in the middle of the messy corpses, and the leading universe man just now is among them. Ha ha ha, these poisonous needles of Mr. Ross are really useful. I didn't expect that even the mighty Saiyan can make them lose consciousness in an instant. The leading universe man looked at the poisonous needle hidden in his arm, showed a devilish smile, and said in a sinister manner, if it weren't for this thing, it would be really difficult to deal with those tough Saiyans. Master Bit, what should we do next? Another universe man beside him looked at the leading universe man and asked. What's next? Naturally, I'm going to clean up the mess. The corner of Bit's mouth curled into a sinister arc, and he spoke lightly. What universe robbers, what peacekeeping forces, not all of them are all a one-man show directed and performed by Master 4 Ross. No one could have imagined that the so-called universe bandits who attacked other planets would be the confidants of Lord Foros. After they killed most of the residents, Lord Foros would bring the peacekeeping force to kill those temporary cannon fodder. Then rebuild the almost abandoned planet and sell it at a high price. Over time, not only did Master Ford get a lot of treasures, but his reputation as a hero of the universe was also thoroughly spread in the universe. To be honest, he still admires the business acumen of Mr. Ford Ross. Afterwards, the two of them drove the universe spaceship again and quietly returned to the planet Sharada. They actually retreated. At this time, Gabe watched those universe robbers run away when they saw for Ross. This made him a little surprised, but also a little puzzled. Although Captain Frost has a great reputation in the universe, his strength should be about the same as theirs. Since they were able to defeat Caulifla and Kale at will, they shouldn't run away as soon as they see Foster. The longer Gabe grew, the more something felt wrong. There is always a very dangerous feeling lingering in my heart. And there was that sense of danger, as if he was very close to him. What's the matter, Brother Gabe, what are you thinking? Seemingly seeing what Gabe was thinking, a stern look flashed in the eyes of Frost beside him, and his right hand suddenly rested on Gabe's shoulder. It looked like he wanted to care about Gabe, but no one noticed that an imperceptible sharp needle suddenly appeared on the right side of Frost's wrist, exuding a breathtaking coldness. At this moment, Frost suddenly revealed a creepy smile. As long as the sharp needle on his wrist touches Gabe, this planet is his own. Once Gabe and the two female Saiyans died, it would be impossible for anyone on the planet Sharada to fight against him. This planet will soon be our own. With this in mind, Frost's arm moved closer to Gabe's neck. But at this moment, brush, suddenly, a clear piercing sound came, interrupting Frost's plan. Then a figure appeared in front of the two of them. The person who appeared in front of him was tall and burly, with his back to the two of them, and a brown tail behind him, swaying flexibly. It seemed that his right hand was pointing between his brows, and he was still muttering to himself. I don't know where this appeared again. And the tall and burly man who appeared in front of him was none other than Lin Yan. It has been 2.5 years, and he has been wandering on the edge of the 7th universe for 2.5 years. After learning the instant transmission from the planet Delit, he has been sensing the breath on the edge of the 7th universe. Then he performed instant transmission. He didn't know how many times he failed, and each time he appeared on other planets in the 7th universe. Not long ago, he suddenly felt two very weak auras, and then directly following these two faint auras, instant transmission came over. This time, where did instant transmission go again? After seeing Lin Yan's appearance, Frost and Gabe's faces were full of surprises. Nani, who is this guy? Why did he suddenly appear on the planet Shirata? Looking at the burly man in front of him, Gabe instantly became vigilant. He didn't feel any aura and energy fluctuations just now. This guy just appeared in front of them out of thin air like a ghost. What's going on? Is he also with the group of universe robbers? Look at that strange appearance, it seems to be a bit like it. For a while, Saiyan behind Gabe was in an uproar, discussing in a low voice. And Frost's gaze was extremely gloomy. This hateful guy unexpectedly appeared at this time, which made Gabe more vigilant. You can't forgive him for messing up your plan. You, who the hell are you? At this time, Gabe gritted his teeth and asked suddenly. Because he felt a very dangerous feeling in the body of the person in front of him. Hearing the vigilant inquiry and discussion of several people behind him, he slowly pretended to move over. The reason why he turned his back on Gabe and the others was not because he was being handsome, but because he had failed hundreds of times, and his heart couldn't bear the blow in his heart. Frieza. Not right. Lin Yan turned his head, and the moment he saw a few people, his face was filled with excitement. It's Frost and Gabe from the 6th universe. This is me, I'm finally in the 6th universe. Lin Yan was extremely excited. After working hard for 2.5 years, he failed hundreds of times in instant transmission, and finally, the king paid off, and let him come to the 6th universe. Who the hell are you? Gabe frowned, stared at Lin Yan again and asked. It's a pleasure to meet you. Saiyan of the 6th universe, Gabe, and you, Lord Frost. Lin Yan walked up to the two of them step by step, and looked at them with a smile on his face. The 6th Saiyan of universe is really weak. It feels like a wind can break a bone. Frost looks exactly the same as Frieza, the only difference is that one is a villain and the other is a hypocrite. Nani, how do you know my name? Gabe was startled, he didn't know him, and he had never seen him at all. Brother Gabe, I've seen this guy before when he was on a mission on Planet Egg Jam. He is the leader of the Universe Pirates, but it's a pity that he was not caught and let him run away. It seems that those universe robbers attacked the planet Shirata this time, must have been planned by the people in front of them. Quote. Frost pointed at Lin Yan, and said to Gabe with an awe-inspiring and righteous indignation. So that's the case, then the dangerous feeling just now must have come from him. Gabe suddenly remembered the dangerous feeling just now, it should be from the person in front of him. Because he would believe what Frost said without even thinking about it. At this moment, Lin Yan is a heinous villain in Gabe's eyes. Frost, you really know how to squirt blood. With such superb acting skills, if you don't become an actor, are you really a bit inferior? Hearing Frost's outspoken nonsense and impeccable acting skills, Lin Yan pursed his lips and said lightly. Frost, others don't know who you are, but I know you like the back of my hand. Touch your wrist. If it wasn't for my sudden appearance just now, that brat Gabe would have died in your hands long ago, right? Quote. After hearing Lin Yan's words, Frost's expression changed, he was a little surprised that this guy actually knew his plan just now. And knowing the poisonous needle on his wrist. That means that he is not just talking about it, but really knows something about himself. Who the hell is this guy? Immediately, Frost's eyes were covered with a layer of resentment. No matter who he is, since he knows his secret, he must not keep it. Oh, Brother Gabe should know what kind of person I am. However, Frost did not panic at all. The heroic image he has accumulated over the years is not comparable to a cat or a dog who suddenly appeared. That's right, Captain Frost is the hero of our universe, don't even think about spitting blood. Gabe also accused Lin Yan with a righteous face. After all, it's too easy to choose between the great hero Forte Ross and a stranger. You really don't have a brain. No wonder you are being manipulated by others. It is a miracle that you can survive under the noses of Foster until now. Lin Yan looked at Gabe and said contemptuously. I don't know if it's because Frost's acting skills are too good, or these people in the 6th universe are too stupid. Brother Gabe, for this kind of universe thug, don't talk nonsense with him, let's take him down together. Frost said to Gabe with a righteous face. But I thought in my heart that I would find an opportunity to eradicate the two of them together, and the guy who knew his secret must not stay. Gabe looked determined, nodded, and made an attacking posture. Although you don't have anything I'm interested in, but you're new here, let's make a stand with you first. Lin Yan smiled coldly and said. For Ross and Gabe, whether it is combat power, combat talent or skills, there is nothing they want to copy. Cut, you brazen villain, let's get caught. As Frost's sharp voice fell, his body exploded out. Gabe also flashed his body and followed closely. Swipe. Frost and Gabe are very fast. After all, they are the best players in the 6th universe. Without a little strength, it is impossible to represent the 6th universe to participate in the tournament of power organized by Xeno. There was only a short distance of 2 feet between the two of them and Lin Yan, and they appeared beside Lin Yan almost instantly. Good, so fast. Captain Gabe, Captain Frost, come on, teach that universe villain a good lesson. Some other Saiyans behind Gabe, after a brief shock, started to cheer for the two. From just now, Lin Yan has been labeled as a cosmic villain by them. This kind of universe villain, everyone can punish it. Shish. The moment Gabe and Frost appeared in front of Lin Yan, the shadows of their fists held and launched a storm-like attack on Lin Yan. It's so slow. With a slight twist of Lin Yan's body, he dodged all the attacks of the two. It's easy at all, without the slightest threat. In fact, with this kind of attack, even if Lin Yan stood up and asked them to fight, they couldn't hurt themselves. But, how can this guy be so strong? In 1 minute, Gabe and Frost had punched hundreds of times, but they didn't hit Lin Yan with a single punch, not even the hem of his clothes. While they were astonished, their brows were tightly wrinkled. I didn't expect this universe villain to be so powerful, no wonder even Captain Foster couldn't catch him. Gabe thought in shock, and the 6th universe Saiyan, who was cheering and cheering, gradually became quieter, and finally held his breath directly, with a nervous expression on his face. Obviously, I didn't expect this universe villain to be so terrifying in strength. Under the joint attack of Captain Gabe and Captain Forte Ross, he could still appear so convincing. Easily dodge all the attacks of the two of them. Qianqi, who the hell is this fool who is so difficult to deal with? And at this moment, Frost's eyes became completely gloomy, and he thought in horror. He didn't expect this kind of guy to exist in this universe. You are really too weak, I can't arouse any interest. Lin Yan easily dodged all the attacks of the two, while shaking his head and said disdainfully. Stop looking down on people, ah. He had never been so humiliated before. Frost couldn't control his temper for a moment, and after screaming sharply, his fist shot towards Lin Yan like an arrow off the string. It was only the next moment that Lin Yan grabbed it directly. And Lin Yan's body, like a rock, didn't move at all. So what if I look down on you? You trash. Lin Yan directly grasped Fo Ross's fist, and then slammed Fo Ross into the ground with a circular motion. The hard ground was smashed and cracked. Immediately afterwards, Lin Yan kicked out, directly kicking the ground out of a gully, and finally landed heavily on Fo Ross's mouth with his toe. Duh. Frost's body flew upside down, and a mouthful of purple liquid spit out from his mouth. The face is distorted, obviously suffering from great pain. Captain Frost. Gabe was shocked. He didn't expect this guy to directly injure Captain Frost as soon as he made a move. Isn't this a bit too scary? But after a moment of shock, he rushed towards Lin Yan again. After a burst of shouting, Lin Yan slapped Gabe directly. Gabe was directly sent flying by an invisible force, and smashed heavily in front of the other Saiyans. Gritting his teeth, he stood up again. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood, and his complexion turned pale instantly. In a hurry, the body fell to the ground again. Yes, Captain, are you okay? Zulu quickly helped Gabe up. So, is that guy a monster? Captain Gabe and Captain Frost, the strongest in the universe, were defeated so easily by him. Is our planet Sharada really going to be destroyed? For a moment, all the Saiyans were terrified and muttered to themselves in a desperate tone. If even Captain Gabe and Captain Frost are defeated by him, who else can save them? That guy is really too strong. If he wants to kill me, it only takes a moment. Gabe clutched his chest and said in a weak tone, he was very sure of this. I must make you pay a heavy price. Frost was roaring crazily in his heart, but in front of so many Saiyans, he couldn't show it well. After all, he is the hero of the universe wearing a veil of justice. He clenched his fists tightly, and there was a rash of cold light in his eyes. Whoa, whoa. At this moment, a sharp cry roared out from Frost's throat. A powerful breath came out, and Frost's body was wrapped in a mass of purple flames. And his body also began to change. That is, Captain Frost is ready to transform into an assault form. When he saw the purple light ball, a Hey Asian man suddenly shouted excitedly. During another mission, he was fortunate enough to see Captain Frost's assault form, and his strength almost doubled. After transforming, the enemies who were able to contend with him before were instantly subdued. It can be seen how terrifying Captain Frost's assault form is. After just a few seconds, Frost's body appeared in everyone's sight. At this time, Frost's shape was exactly the same as Frieza's main form. I didn't want to change into this form at first, but in order to subdue you, the universe villain, I can only. The corner of Frost's mouth raised, and he was about to speak proudly, but before he finished speaking, Lin Yan's body disappeared in place in an instant. When it appeared, it was already behind Frost. I hate you, the most righteous, sanctimonious trash. A faint voice sounded from behind, and Frost suddenly felt a chill down his back. Lin Yan's fist has already slammed on Foster's back unceremoniously. Then, it hit the ground heavily, and a huge deep pit suddenly appeared on the ground. Without any hesitation, Lin Yan pointed his fingertips directly at Frost, and a beam of energy penetrated Frost's chest in an instant. After killing Frost in an instant, Lin Yan said disdainfully, "If you want to keep your strength, then keep it in your body forever." He knows that Frost has an ultimate transformation. Although even if he becomes the ultimate form, he still cannot escape the fate of being killed by himself. Hypocrites are often more repulsive than real villains. This is the reason why I would kill Foster in the universe. Nah, Nani, you actually killed Captain Frost. Gabe's pupils constricted instantly, his body trembled uncontrollably, and he looked at Lin Yan as if he were looking at a demon. Captain Frost is such a good person. This hero of the universe was killed by this kind of demon. Absolutely, I will never forgive you. Gabe's face was instantly filled with anger, his body flashed, and he attacked Lin Yan. White's arrogance poured out, and Yao was around. At this moment, although Gabe was injured, his anger was much stronger than before. It seemed that his anger had stimulated the potential in his body. Cut, stupid guy. Lin Yan let out a cold snort. Frost had deceived them for so many years, yet he didn't feel anything at all, and even treated him as a hero. 297. It's really lucky that this kind of idiot can survive till now. FP. The moment Gabe's imposing fist attacked Lin Yan grabbed it directly. In an instant, no matter how hard Gabe tried, he couldn't break free from Lin Yan's control, like a chicken whose neck was pinched, completely losing the ability to struggle. And at this moment, a few lines of small words, blue, suddenly appeared on Lin Yan's retina. Copy object. Gabe, 6th universe. Copyable skills. Key blast, afterburner, protector. Do you want to copy? Cut, what rubbish, don't copy. Lin Yan glanced at it and directly vetoed it. Sure enough, a common Saiyan like Gabe has nothing worth copying. Ling. Then Lin Yan directly used his right hand to throw Gabe's body out, and hit the rock not far away heavily, and the rock shattered instantly. Gabe has a painful expression on his face. And at this moment, Caulifla and Kale, who had been lying quietly not far away, suddenly moved. Because Frost's poisonous needle, although it can temporarily stun people, has no other substantial damage. Once the toxicity is over, the two of them will wake up by themselves. Certainly, dare to use that kind of dirty trick on my old lady, I will never forgive you. 10 seconds later, Caulifla sat up, with an angry expression on her face, shaking her dizzy head, cursing carelessly. And Kair on the side also woke up at this time. Sister, what happened to us just now? Kale looked at Caulifla with a timid expression, and asked in a mosquito-like voice. Schemed by those fools. Thinking of those guys defeating her with dirty tricks, Caulifla became furious. And just when the two were doing it, Gabe, Zulu and other Saiyans also found that the two had awakened. Caulifla and Kale, are they both okay? Both Gabe and Zulu opened their mouths in surprise. It seemed that they were not injured except that they had just passed out. Caulifla. At this time, Gabe hurriedly called out. Now that Caulifla and Kale have woken up, if the three Saiyans attack together, they will have a little more chance of defeating the demon. Ah, Gabe, what's the matter with you? Following Gabe's voice, he saw Gabe lying in the rubble. Looking at the embarrassed Gabe, Caulifla spoke in surprise. Could it be that Gabe was also tricked by those guys? Sister, over there. At this time, Kale suddenly pulled Caulifla's arm and cast his gaze on Lin Yan. Caulifla also forgot her gaze, and the moment she saw Lin Yan, a curious look appeared on her face. Huh, who's that guy? Is his tail real? Caulifla spoke in surprise, seeing a human with a tail for the first time. But looking at the burly appearance, it seems that the strength is quite strong. Caulifla, that guy is in the same group as those robbers just now, and he is very powerful. Looking at Caulifla, who looked excited and curious, Gabe quickly reminded her. And, even Captain Frost was killed by him. Then, Gabe said with some heartache. As soon as he remembered that demon killed Frost just now, his anger surged uncontrollably. It's that I don't have the strength to defeat him. It's really a very aggrieved and helpless feeling. Ah, that guy Faraz is dead. That's really great. I can't get used to that hypocritical guy for a long time. Caulifla was surprised at first, then said nonchalantly. That Frost with a fake smile on his face all day long, for some reason is very annoying to her. But if you hate it, you hate it, but that guy's strength is still quite strong. Is that the 6th universe, the legendary Super Saiyan Kale? It's really hard to find, it's easy to get here. From the very beginning, Lin Yan set his sights on Kale, with black shiny hair tied into a ponytail, wearing a red short skirt, and black leggings. His eyes drooped, and he looked a little timid. It is almost exactly the same as in Dragon Ball Super, but it looks a little immature. After all, it will take nearly 10 years before the start of the Tournament of Power, so they naturally look a little younger. However, what Lin Yan is talking about is not Kale's appearance and age, but his potential, which can become the legendary Super Saiyan's potential. But for the current Kale, if he wants to become the legendary Super Saiyan, it may be a bit difficult. She must be stimulated, and she can only transform when she is extremely angry. Hey, that guy with the long tail, your companion just used dirty tricks on me and Kale, and I'm full of anger now, so I can only vent to you. While Lin Yan was observing Kale, Caulifla suddenly pointed at Lin Yan and said to Lin Yan with a displeased face. Only by giving this guy a good beating can he eliminate the anger in his heart. The moment Caulifla's voice fell, Lin Yan looked at Caulifla with cold eyes, and then his body disappeared from everyone's sight like a ghost. Didn't your mother teach you to be polite when talking to other people? Suddenly, a cold voice sounded from behind. Caulifla's body trembled, her face full of horror. Then, that guy, when did he appear behind me? Sweat dripped from his forehead involuntarily, and then his body rushed out with the agility of a civet cat. Then he turned around and looked at Lin Yan with astonishment. Hey, you, what kind of monster are you? How can you be so fast? Caulifla's surprised expression turned out to be somewhat excited. She had never seen such a fast person, who appeared behind her in an instant, and he didn't even have the time to react. Caulifla, that guy's strength is unfathomable, don't be careless. Gabe quickly reminded. Just now, he really experienced the strength of that demon, it was too terrifying. It's not on the same level as them. Even Captain Frost, who had turned into an assault form, was killed by him in an instant. Caulifla's strength is still weaker than that of herself and Captain Frost. An afterthought, I don't know how to read it myself. Caulifla cast a contemptuous glance at Gabe, and even a fool could tell that he was no ordinary opponent based on the speed he displayed. It's just, her character is that the stronger the opponent she meets, the more excited will be, and she wants to compete with him. Hey, what's your name? Caulifla just wanted to say, that guy with a tail, but thinking about that guy, he seemed to care about that title just now, so he changed his name after thinking about it. Saiyan of the 7th universe, Lin Yan. Lin Yan didn't hide it, after all, here, these people always want to know their names. Nani, you say you are Saiyan? Impossible, why does Saiyan have a tail? Caulifla asked with a confused face, She grew up on the planet Sharada, and has seen all kinds of Saiyans, but she has never seen a Saiyan with a tail. And his body looks much bigger than theirs. Also, what the hell is the seventh universe you mentioned? Caulifla looked puzzled. He knew about the universe, but how many universes should the universe be divided into? There are still many things you don't know. You will understand slowly in the future. Lin Yan didn't bother to explain to them, wasting words. Anyway, they will naturally know how big this universe is in the future. Caulifla, don't believe what he said, Captain Frost said. That guy is an accomplice of those universe robbers. What is the seventh universe? What is Saiyan? He just made it up to lie to you. After hearing Lin Yan's words, Gabe hurriedly reminded Caulifla, for fear that Caulifla would be deceived by this guy. And in his opinion, that guy is not Saiyan at all. How could a peace-loving Saiyan be as decisive and ruthless in killing viruses as he is? TCH, it's Frost again. I'd rather believe Lin Yan's words than his words. Caulifla curled her lips, and judging from her tone, it seemed that not only did she not have any affection for Frost, but she even hated it. This made Lin Yan feel that although Caulifla didn't like him, she seemed to be a little smarter than Gabe. Hey Lin Yan, are you really Saiyan? But why is Saiyan so strong? After glaring at Gabe, Caulifla looked at Lin Yan again curiously, and confirmed with great interest. Strong. Is defeating two little flies considered strong? Lin Yan contemptuously looked at Frost's body and Gabe, and said disdainfully. But he didn't mean to look down on them, because the two of them were not even as good as a fly in front of him. Cut. Gabe clenched his fists tightly. With his unique strength, he can be regarded as an outstanding existence in this universe. To be compared to two little flies by that guy is really too much. Hee. Although I know that you and Chang can defeat the two of them, it's a bit too arrogant to say that. Caulifla also had a look of disbelief. The strength of both Faraz and Gabe surpassed her. If the two of them were little flies, wouldn't he be inferior to little flies? Really? Then how about? Lin Yan smiled serenely, revealing a row of white teeth. Immediately after his complexion straightened, a deep roar came out from his throat. Ha ha eh. At this moment, the entire ground began to tremble violently, and the gravel on the ground even floated in midair. A wave of terrifying air swept in all directions. The air wave contained terrifying power, and directly sent Gabe, Zulu and the others flying. Caulifla blocked her eyes with her arms, and kicked back non-stop as her feet rubbed against the ground. Wow Kaka, just the momentum has knocked me back, it's too strong. Not only was Caulifla not afraid, but she was even more excited. It's just that Gabe, Kair and others also have fear on their faces. Is that guy really a monster? It's just his aura that even made the planet Sharada vibrate. It seems that the guy named Lin Yan didn't use all his strength when fighting him before. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be able to last even a second. Aha! With the last roar, Lin Yan's originally black hair turned golden yellow and stood tall. The pupils turned light green, and looked unusually indifferent. Rustle. Gold's air vortex is like a raging flame, surging crazily. Gold's hair, that guy, is he undergoing a transformation? After Lin Yan turned into Super Saiyan, the terrifying blast stopped, and the entire planet Sharada returned to calm. With his current aura, he doesn't need to make such a big fuss about his transformation, but he has already uttered his big words just now. If he doesn't pretend to be a wave, it will be a bit unreasonable. Hey, what are you? What a powerful feeling. Caulifla looked at Lin Yan excitedly, and asked hurriedly. He could feel that Lin Yan's strength at this time had definitely increased dozens of times in an instant. This is called Super Saiyan. Lin Yan clenched his fists, the corners of his mouth curved slightly, and said coldly. Super Saiyan, are you really Saiyan? Caulifla said excitedly again. If this guy is really Saiyan, if he can become so powerful, then he can too. Anyway, I am a genius among the geniuses of planet Sharada. How? Want to become stronger? Lin Yan suddenly smiled evilly, looked at Caulifla and asked. Aha! Caulifla nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Want to become a Super Saiyan? Lin Yan asked again. Teach me how to become a Super Saiyan. Caulifla couldn't wait to speak to Lin Yan. At this time, Kale, who was not far away, looked at Caulifla's happy face, and tightly grasped the hem of his skirt with both hands. Looking at Lin Yan with angry eyes. And Lin Yan looked at the excited Caulifla, his expression suddenly changed, and he said in a cold voice, "If you want to become stronger, then die first." At the same time as the icy voice fell, Lin Yan's body burst out directly, turning into a golden ray of light, so fast that no one could react. The next moment, a heavy fist hit Caulifla's lower abdomen directly. Caulifla's pupils constricted, and the severe pain caused her to lose consciousness for a short time. Then he hugged his lower abdomen with his hands, and knelt on the ground with his knees, his face twisted. The spigot kept spitting out unknown liquid. She still hadn't figured it out yet. Just now Lin Yan, who said that she was going to teach herself to become a Super Saiyan, would suddenly attack her. No sign at all. But even if you tell her, she will definitely not be able to avoid it. Sister, Caulifla, Gabe, Kale and the other Saiyans all changed drastically at this moment. Just now this guy was chatting with Caulifla, but the next moment, he attacked Caulifla directly. Logically speaking, with his strength, there is no need for Caulifla to relax her vigilance before attacking. Caulifla hugged her lower abdomen tightly, and her body was overwhelmed. This fool dared to attack her suddenly. Absolutely unforgivable. You dare to hurt my sister. I absolutely can't forgive you. A deep angry roar came from Kale's throat. Lin Yan turned around and saw Kale with an angry face, clenched his fists, and the veins on his forehead and arms were bulging. Obviously he was extremely angry. Then his body flashed, and he punched Lin Yan directly. The furious Kale didn't have any tricks at all, and exhausted all his strength and blasted towards Lin Yan. Although he can dodge this kind of linear attack casually, but now his purpose is not to dodge Kale's attack, but to copy her talent. Immediately afterwards, Lin Yan and Kai's fists collided heavily. Lin Yan instantly felt that this force was much stronger than the previous two people, for Ross and Gabe. As expected, he deserves to be called the legendary Super Saiyan. After being enraged, Kale can explode with such terrifying power normally. And at this moment, those few lines of blue on Lin Yan's retina reappeared. Copy object. Kale, 6th universe. Copyable ability. Ki blast. Do you want to copy? What the hell? Pipe question mark quote. Lin Yan looked at those few lines of small characters, and almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. But how come there is only one skill, and only one Ki blast? What about talent? What about the talent of the legendary Super Saiyan? At this time, Lin Yan was also momentarily confused and at a loss. According to the plot of Dragon Ball Super, Kale is the legendary Super Saiyan. But why is there no copyable talent? Puzzled. Then, Lin Yan slammed his fists hard and knocked Kale away. The purpose of coming to the 6th universe is nothing more than copying Kale's talent for super passing and hits flash time skill. Then play against that hit who can completely crush Super Saiyan Blue. Didn't expect my first goal to be shattered like this. Could it be that Kale didn't become the legendary Super Saiyan, so that I couldn't copy her Super Saiyan talent? Lin Yan suddenly thought about it. Maybe it was because of this reason. It seems that whether it is for this reason or not, you must try it. And just when Lin Yan was thinking why he couldn't copy Kyle's talent, Kaylee, who was repelled by him, attacked Lin Yan again. Still a random fist in a rage. I can only try. Lin Yan frowned, and when he looked at Kaylee's attacking fist, he turned his body slightly to avoid Kaylee's fist. Then he grabbed Kale's slender arm, and pressed his right knee against Kale's abdomen. Wow. Then, Kelton fell to his knees on the ground as if he had been hit hard, spitting acid water from his mouth. The breath of the whole person returned to a normal state at this moment. This is Saiyan from the 6th universe. Trash, useless. Snapped. Lin Yan stepped on Kai's back, directly pushing Kai's body into the ground. He spoke with a cold tone of contempt. Let me go of Kale. Seeing that Lin Yan stepped on Kale, Caulifla instantly looked at Lin Yan furiously, and shouted angrily. The two palms were directly aimed at Lin Yan, and the energy ball blasted towards Lin Yan like raindrops. Boom. Then, Lin Yan's whole body exploded in an instant. A few seconds later, the smoke dissipated, and Lin Yan's figure appeared in front of Caulifla again. Obviously, Caulifla's attack was of no use at all, because in that horrible explosion, Lin Yan's clothes didn't get a speck of dust on them. Kale is still underfoot. I fight with you. Caulifla roared and rushed directly to Lin Yan. Lin Yan didn't even look at Caulifla, and directly slammed his palm at Caulifla, and Caulifla's body flew upside down like a fired shell. Fell heavily to the ground. See, it's because of your weakness and incompetence that your sister was beaten with you, and I will kill you one by one. Lin Yan looked down at Kale and said in a cold voice. No, no, I will never let you hurt my sister. Kale gritted his teeth and pressed his fingers tightly into the hard ground. Lin Yan could feel that Kale's chi was constantly rising at this time, and his body was also trembling from a distance. It seems Li Mahao is about to succeed, let's add more fire. Feeling Kale's increasingly violent breath, Lin Yan suddenly showed a look of excitement at the corner of his mouth. Can you copy the Transcendence talent, but once again? You're scumbag, your sister will never like you. Lin Yan knew that in Kale's heart, Caulifla was the person she liked the most. Sure enough, at the moment Lin Yan's words fell, the entire ground. No, the entire planet Sharada began to vibrate violently. I'm going to kill you. Roar. At the same time as the hoarse roar sounded, streaks of green light burst out directly from the ground. And Kale under his feet was directly wrapped by a huge grass green energy ball. That terrifying aura directly knocked Lin Yan back out. The legendary Super Saiyan is coming. Lin Yan jumped back, and he appeared in a place 10 feet away. And that terrifying aura directly sent the others flying out. Then, Kale's body slowly climbed up, the energy arrogance of grass green was crazily lingering, and Blue's lightning crackled. You dare to hurt sister, I will kill you. A roar burst out from Kale's throat, and his body floated in midair. Although he was still in a normal state, Lin Yan could clearly feel that Carl's aura was almost the same as his own when he became a common Super Saiyan. And his anger is still rising. I am going to kill you. The next moment, Kale clenched his arms tightly, and the terrifying grass-green energy swept out in all directions like long dragons. Wherever they went, giant peaks collapsed, and bottomless black holes appeared on the ground. At this moment, Kale's body almost doubled in size, and his originally thin and weak body became like a big man who has been exercising for many years. The headband that tied the hair has disappeared, and the original black hair instantly turned into a messy grass green. The pupils completely disappeared, and it was empty and pale. Kale, what's wrong with you? Caulifla looked at Kale, whose appearance had changed drastically, and asked with some concern, but she was also very shocked. Unexpectedly, the follower who played with me from a young age has such a huge energy base in his body. She never found out. This energy almost completely surpassed that nasty guy Lin Yan. Don't worry, this is Kale's Super Saiyan form. Lin Yan looked sideways and explained to Caulifla lightly. Nah, Nani, Kale can turn into a Super Saiyan. And it's so strong. Caulifla spoke excitedly. At the same time, I thought to myself, since Kale can become a Super Saiyan, then I must be able to become a Super Saiyan too. The reason why Kale became Super Saiyan is because, by the way, that guy Lin Yan has been stimulating Kale just now, making Kale furious, and then Kale turned into Super Saiyan with a boom, got, ABDC. Could it be that what Lin Yan did just now was to deliberately provoke Kale and make him become a Super Saiyan? But why did he do it? Caulifla thought with some doubts. Of course, this is just her guess, maybe that Lin Yan is not so kind at all. Car, what a powerful energy. Could this be the Super Saiyan that the devil said? Could it be that what he said before is true? Gabe hid behind a boulder, looked at Kale in shock, and muttered to himself. At this time, he seemed to start to believe what Lin Yan said. The legendary Super Saiyan, let me see how strong you are. Lin Yan pursed his lips. To be honest, he had never seen such a tyrannical aura since he left the Wampa planet. Of course, on Wampa planet, he and Brawly didn't go all out because they were afraid of destroying the entire planet, so the fight was not very enjoyable. The strength in front of me is comparable to that of Super Saiyan Blue's Xuanchao Saiyan, and I can finally have a good fight with her. Anyway, even if the planet Sharada is destroyed, it has nothing to do with me, and I can live in space. Lin Yan, begin the blood sacrifice with you first. After transforming, Kale pointed at Lin Yan and said in a hoarse voice. It seems though that the guy didn't completely lose his mind after turning into the legendary Super Saiyan. At least I can still call my own name. And at the same time that Kale's hoarse voice fell, a black energy ball actually converged directly towards Kale's mouth. finally integrated into the body. It's just that the next moment, a huge grass-green energy ball suddenly appeared in Shanko, and it bombarded Lin Yan in an instant. Looking at the energy ball and feeling the terrifying power inside, Lin Yan didn't want to hit it hard, so he dodged it with a flash of his body. Rumbling. The moment the energy ball landed on the ground was instantly swallowed and turned into 10 huge raised arcs. Then it exploded directly, stirring up hundreds of feet of dust. The ground suddenly turned into a huge pit of several tens of feet. Something's wrong. After Kale becomes Super Saiyan, she seems to be unable to control her own power. If this continues, the entire planet Sharada will be destroyed by her. Caulifla, who has always been carefree, also thought of it with a worried expression at this time. Stop, Kyle, do you want to destroy the whole planet of salad fans? Caulifla yelled at Kale, but Kale, who was running away now, how could he listen to Caulifla and stop destroying it? Just when Lin Yan dodged Kale's energy ball with a dodge, Kaylee squeezed out a few grass-green energy balls again and blasted towards Lin Yan. Lin Yan flashed again and snatched the energy ball. It's just that when Lin Yan was dodging the energy ball, Kale's body flashed out and appeared in front of Lin Yan in an instant, and the energy ball in his palm was printed on Lin Yan's chest. Amazing speed. Lin Yan's eyes sank. Originally, he thought that Kale's strength had increased to the limitless after he turned into a super transportation form. He didn't expect that even the speed had increased so much. In the form of my common Super Saiyan, there is no way to compete with Kale of Xuanchao. ... Hardly any hesitation, the energy ball in Kale's hand exploded the moment it landed on Lin Yan's mouth. Lin Yan's body was like a falling meteorite, forming an oblique straight line, smashing Hutchin hundreds of meters away. Clatter. The violent impact directly aroused huge waves of thousands of feet. You're super awesome. Kale, seeing Lin Yan being knocked into the air by Kale in an instant, Caulifla was so excited that she seemed to forget the pain in her body and danced at Kale. Lin Yan was able to get rid of his own existence in an instant, but he didn't expect to have no strength to fight back in front of you. In the next second, Lin Yan's body shot out of the lake, and he didn't seem to be injured at all. The legendary Super Saiyan, it's really difficult to deal with. Then, let you feel the power of my Super Saiyan at full power. Lin Yan straightened his expression, and said lightly. Ah. The next moment, Lin Yan folded his arms in front of his chest suddenly, posing in a posture, and accompanied by a deep roar, his chi began to rise continuously. Violent waves began to appear on the surface of the lake under his feet, and spread out in circles towards the surroundings. In the end, the center of the lake directly turned into a huge whirlpool. Boom! Then the whole land began to shake violently, and Lin Yan's energy almost filled the entire planet Sharada at this moment. The next moment, Lin Yan's pale green pupils suddenly turned golden yellow, but they changed back in an instant. Wisps of bright green energy flames are continuously generated from the golden energy wrapped around the body. Nani, Lin Yan's aura has also begun to inflate sharply. What's going on? Caulifla, Gabe and the others all looked at Lin Yan with shocked expressions on their faces. Doesn't this guy have authority? It was able to become stronger again and again. And his aura at this moment has been constantly approaching Kair. Kair also seemed to feel the rapid expansion of Lin Yan's chi. Perhaps feeling a sense of danger, his empty eyes narrowed slightly, and a cruel look appeared on his face. With both palms down, the two energy balls turned from black to green, and then directly blasted at Lin Yan. At this moment, with the last roar, Lin Yan's pupils directly turned golden yellow, and the terrifying bright green aura directly formed a huge energy ball. And when Kale's energy ball hit the huge energy ball, it seemed to be swallowed in half, and completely merged into the huge energy ball. The next moment, hundreds of energy beams suddenly shot out from the energy ball, shooting towards the ground like 1,000 arrows. Shish! Boom! Violent explosions continued to explode from every corner, and Gabe and Caulifla could only dodge in panic. With their current strength, if they are hit by that kind of energy beam, even if they are not dead, they will have to shed a layer of skin. Almost instantly, the entire ground was covered with large and small deep pits, which looked riddled with holes and devastated. It seems that there is no way to display the full power of Super Saiyan if you want to keep your sanity. In the bright green arrogance, Son Goku's deep voice came out. The current self can indeed become the full power form of Super Saiyan, but after becoming full power, it is easy to lose consciousness and enter a berserk state, becoming as hard to control one's own power as Kale. At that time, maybe most of the sixth universe will be destroyed by the battle between the two of them. After copying Broly's talent, his strength has indeed become very powerful, but he also copied the irritability that would lose control after transforming. But Lin Yan doesn't want to become a fighting tool that can only fight without consciousness while possessing strong power. Forget it, even if you can't control the full power form, with your current strength, you should definitely fight against Xuanchao Kair. The idea of becoming Super Saiyan at full power, I can only give up, and then slowly learn to control and become Super Saiyan at full power on a conscious basis. But at this time, the bright green energy ball wrapped around Lin Yan disappeared little by little, and Lin Yan's body also appeared in everyone's sight. At this time, Lin Yan is surrounded by colorful energy arrogance, golden hair, and gold pupils. In the long and narrow eyes, there is an unusual indifference. Certainly, the moment Kair saw Lin Yan's figure, his face was full of anger and he gritted his teeth. With a flash of his body, he rushed directly to Lin Yan. Without any fanfare, the fist filled with grass-green energy blasted towards Lin Yan. Bring it on! Lin Yan also gritted his teeth, his body burst out, and he met Kyle with clenched fists, obviously preparing to confront Kyle head-on. In the next second, the fists of the two collided tightly, and the whole space shook violently. Circles of ripples were like waves, sweeping in all directions. Gabe and Caulifla only felt a buzzing in their ears, and subconsciously covered their ears. Click, click, click. Immediately afterwards, one after another cracks continued to crack from the ground like giant dragons, and continued to extend in all directions. As for the bodies of Lin Yan and Kair, they each retreated dozens of steps in that terrifying impact. It really makes people feel the blood-boiling power. Lin Yan pursed his lips, and there was a strong desire to fight in his eyes. He felt that the blood in his body was violently rolling and boiling at this moment. He knew it was Saiyan's natural desire to fight. It's been a long time since I've felt this blood boil, not even when fighting Broly. And just when Lin Yan was enjoying the thrill brought by the collision just now, Kair's body attacked crazily again. Lin Yan also came out in a flash, and went up to meet him. Bang bang bang. The next moment, the two of them fought fiercely together, still without any fanfare. Fists, feet, elbows, and knees are all turned into sharp attack weapons at this time, and they are constantly colliding with each other in terror. And every time the two collided, the whole ground would tremble violently a few times, and those circling dragon-like cracks would continue to expand, and then expand. Then, Lin Yan and Kair clasped their hands tightly together, both clenched their teeth, showing a strenuous look. What a monster! The power is so strong. Lin Yan couldn't help being surprised. And just after Lin Yan sighed in his heart, a few lines of small words, blue, suddenly appeared on his retina. Copy object. Xuanchao Kair, 6th universe. Copyable skills. Ki blast, explosive gas bomb. Copy talent. The legendary Super Saiyan days. Do you want to copy? Is that really the case? Lin Yan was overjoyed. It seemed that his previous thinking was correct. If he wanted to copy Kale's super talent, he had to first let her become a Super Saiyan before he could copy it. I don't know if the two talents can be superimposed after copying the talent of Xuanchao. If it is possible, then it is really awesome. Even if it is not possible, it is harmless. Copy the legendary Super Saiyan talent. Without any hesitation, Lin Yan said silently in his heart. Copying the legendary Super Saiyan's natural success. Copied skills. Transcendent talent. A small line of blue appeared on the retina again. Then it disappeared. I didn't expect it to be copied so smoothly. Lin Yan said with a little excitement in his heart. Then, Kale will not be of much use. Then, Lin Yan's arms suddenly strengthened. Product circle. After a roar, the terrifying bright green aura erupted directly from the ground, forming a huge beam of bright green energy, which instantly soared into the sky. The ground under Lin Yan's feet suddenly collapsed, and his feet were firmly inserted into the ground. Kair obviously felt the great pressure, the veins on his forehead and arms were wriggling like little snakes, and the sweat kept sliding down his cheeks. Ho ho ho. 867. It was also a hysterical hoarse roar, Sao Green's energy also turned into a huge beam of light, rising from the ground and piercing into the sky. In an instant, two huge pillars of green energy light touched together, and at the moment of contact, a substantial flame was produced. Under the two people's feet, they continued to collapse. It has completely turned into a huge pit with a width of hundreds of feet. Thumb-like thick blue lightning bolts emerged from the place where the two beams of energy light touched, and after a crackling sound, they fell in all directions. Boom! In an instant, the entire earth was split into deep ravines and pits by the blue lightning. The sky and the earth are changing color, just like a scene of the end of the world. Okay, what a terrifying confrontation. Are the two of them willing to give up after destroying the entire planet Shirata? Gabe's face was full of despair, and his tone was full of helplessness. If this continues, the planet Shirata will really be completely destroyed by them. Cal, to have such a powerful energy, it's too amazing. Caulifla was also very worried about planet Shirata, but she didn't hide the excitement in her eyes at all. Since Kale can become a Super Saiyan, then I must also be able to become a Super Saiyan. Caulifla clenched her fist tightly, trying to make herself angry. As for the Saiyans who followed Gabe at the beginning, they have completely disappeared. I don't know if they were killed by the confrontation between Lin Yan and Kair, or they fell to other places. The game, it's time to end, Kale. Lin Yan shouted angrily, and his arms, which were already throbbing with veins, increased their strength again. He felt that Kale after becoming Xuanchao Saiyan was very powerful and destructive, but she had a big Achilles heel, that is, her battery life was too poor. It is impossible to fight for a long time, probably because her current body cannot bear the unparalleled strength. So after Kale suddenly raised his breath just now, his breath has begun to drop sharply. Just after Lin Yan increased his strength again, Kale finally couldn't bear it, and was directly shocked and flew upside down. In the middle of flying upside down, the body shrinks little by little, the energy of the green grass around him disappears little by little, and the hair has changed back to black again, obviously it has returned to normal. Then Kale's body fell heavily to the ground, and he was completely unconscious. Now Kale controls that kind of terrifying power, it is indeed too powerful for her. Hoo-hoo. After completely defeating Kale, sweat dripped down Lin Yan's forehead, his arms were still trembling, and he was panting heavily. Obviously, although he defeated Kale just now, the consumption of him was quite huge. After all, Lin Yan performed the transformation on the premise of preserving his consciousness, so the strength and endurance he can display will naturally be inferior to those in the berserk state. Afterwards, Lin Yan directly changed to normal. Then, the toes touched the ground, and the body slowly rose up, standing in midair. But, hateful fool, you dare to treat my schoolgirl like this, I will never spare you. At this time, Caulifla was full of anger again, looked at Kale lying on the ground, then at Lin Yan, and said in an angry voice. Then his fists were clenched tightly, and wisps of breath burst out from Caulifla's body. But what everyone didn't notice was that at this time, on Caulifla's back, a little bit of gold halo flickered, and it became more and more dense. That brat, did you figure out how to become a Super Saiyan? Lin Yan looked at Caulifla in surprise, and murmured. Feeling Caulifla's ever-improving aura, it seems really similar. Caulifla, what's going on? Not far away, Gabe looked at Caulifla's horrified opening with a look of astonishment. Because he felt that Caulifla's aura was constantly rising, the original Caulifla was weaker than himself, but the aura that erupted now was obviously much stronger than himself. Caulifla waved her arms and opened her posture. At that moment, a burst of Gold's arrogance burst out directly from Caulifla's body. Rustle. Gold's arrogance lingered directly around Caulifla's body, Gold's hair, and shallow Green's pupils. At this moment, Caulifla has become a Super Saiyan. Wow, it really worked. It turns out that the trick to becoming a Super Saiyan is really to be angry. It's too strong, it's really too strong, it feels like there's endless power in my body. Caulifla laughed wildly excitedly, looking at her hands, feeling the strength of her physical energy, which almost instantly increased dozens of times. At this moment, it seems that I am the strongest in the world. Nani, even Caulifla has transformed, how did this go back? Gabe was completely confused. In less than an hour, Kale and Caulifla turned into the so-called Super Saiyan, one after another. That breath really shocked him too much. Hey, Super Saiyan from the 6th universe is really cheap. Lin Yan looked at Caulivora speechlessly. Her previous combat power was obviously less than 3 million, hovering around 2 million at most. You must know that I have suffered a lot to become a Super Saiyan. I spent 2 years in the spiritual time room, many days in the gravity room, and was developed by the Elder Namek. In the end, at the moment of life and death, the desire to survive made me become a Super Saiyan. Chapter 71. These guys are good, they turn into Super Saiyan when they get angry. However, in Dragon Ball, in addition to the basic combat power and anger, there is another very important factor for becoming a Super Saiyan, that is, a peaceful heart. Only a peaceful heart can produce the so-called S cells. When S cells when reaching a certain amount, adding anger, you can become a Super Saiyan. The more S cells, the greater the chance of becoming a Super Saiyan. The Saiyan of the 6th universe is not as savage and violent as the Saiyan of the 7th universe, but very peace-loving, so the S cells in the body are naturally much richer than the Saiyan of the 7th universe. This is also the main reason why they can turn into Super Saiyan once they are enraged. Lin Yan. You beat me up for so long just now, now I'm going to pay it back, hehe. After being excited for a while, Caulifla finally looked at Lin Yan excitedly. That guy not only beat himself up, but also injured primary school girl, Kair. The so-called reciprocity, now that I have become a Super Saiyan, this enmity must be paid back. I'm afraid you don't have the qualifications. Looking at the excited Caulifla, Lin Yan spoke contemptuously, his face full of disdain. According to Chao Kair's words, it is indeed a bit tricky for him to suppress his strength, but Caulifla, the Super Saiyan of common, he really doesn't pay attention to it. You must know that her basic combat power is at most about 2 million, and even if she becomes a Super Saiyan, her combat power will only increase by 50 times to about 100 million. This kind of strength, even Son Goku and Vegeta can't beat them, let alone myself. Caulifla is really as arrogant as Vegeta. With a bit of strength, she becomes inflated and doesn't know who she is. TCH, you hateful guy, how dare you look down on me? I will definitely beat you down later, and show you how powerful I am. Super Caulifla. Caulifla still had a confident look on her face. Even if he couldn't defeat Lin Yan who was at full strength, Lin Yan was obviously exhausted from the battle with Kaylee just now, and it would not be easy for him to defeat him. After thinking about it, Caulifla's body instantly turned into an afterimage of gold, darting towards Lin Yan. When the body appeared in front of Lin Yan in an instant, it directly smashed towards Lin Yan's head. The shot is also quite fierce, without holding back. However, in Lin Yan's eyes, Caulifla's attack speed is simply too slow. Turning his head slightly, he easily dodged Caulifla's attack. Nanani, did you escape? Caulifla was startled. She now has great confidence in her strength and speed. She never thought that Lin Yan would easily dodge her first attack. Coincidence. It must be a coincidence. I don't believe you both escaped twice. Caulifla gritted her teeth, thinking secretly. Lin Yan is already exhausted. It was just a coincidence just now. This time, he must be completely defeated. Then, with fierce vigor, the fist slammed at Lin Yan again. This time, she is confident. It's just that the ideal is beautiful, but the reality is cruel. This time's attack was still the same as the first time, and Lin Yan easily dodged it. Nani, impossible. Caulifla withdrew her fist and shook her head in a daze. The first time was a coincidence, but the second time, no matter how arrogant she is, she wouldn't foolishly think it was a coincidence. After a moment of shock, a look of rage appeared on Caulifla's face, and at the same time as a deep voice came out of her mouth, both fists fell towards Lin Yan overwhelmingly like machine guns. And Lin Yan's body, like a light feather, swayed from side to side in the hail of bullets, easily dodging all the attacks. Caulifla couldn't touch Lin Yan's body at all, and Caulifla's irritable character became more and more anxious, completely losing her composure. In this way, there is no way to hit Lin Yan. Have you played enough? Lin Yan suddenly curved his mouth, smiled coldly, and stretched out his right hand like lightning, blocking Caulifla's attack with a palm. When the fist hit Lin Yan's palm, Caulifla felt as if she had hit a hard steel plate, and she didn't move at all. I'm not interested in you at all, so it's over. Lin Yan smiled coldly again, grabbed Caulifla's fist, lifted Khalifa's body high, and then fell down heavily. The ground instantly became dusty, and Khalifa's body was submerged in the dust. Ahem. This idiot, you're too aggressive. After a few inhalations, Khalifa, coughing and complaining, came from the dust. After the dust dissipated, I saw Khalifa's figure, with scratches of varying degrees on her body. It has changed back to normal, and it looks abnormally embarrassed. Lin Yan's body slowly landed beside Khalifa, taking back all his breath. What do you want to do? Don't think you can kill us, I didn't use my strength just now. Khalifa watched Lin Yan fall in front of her, like a frightened little hedgehog, with a vigilant face, and at the same time did not forget to threaten Lin Yan. Don't worry, if I wanted to kill you, you would have turned into cold corpses. Although Lin Yan often kills decisively, he is not a murderer after all, nor does he have the habit of killing people when he has nothing to do. Although these Saiyans in front of me are not likable, but they are not annoying enough to kill them. Who the hell are you? If you're not a universe pirate, then what's your purpose in coming to planet Shirata? At this time, seeing that the battle was almost over, and Lin Yan didn't intend to kill them, Gabe limped over, still looked at Lin Yan defensively and asked. Didn't I tell you my story? Lin Yan glanced at Gabe coldly, and asked back. Being stared at by Lin Yan like this, Gabe felt uncomfortable all over. In fact, when his anger disappeared little by little, he also slowly figured it out. With Lin Yan's strength, there was no need to hide anything from them. If he was really a universe pirate, as Captain Forte Ross said, they would have killed him a long time ago. But why did he just kill Captain Frost? Then why did you kill Captain Foster? He is such a good person, how much contribution he has made for the universe. Gabe gritted his teeth, and still asked the question he wanted to ask the most. Even though he didn't kill himself and Khalifa, he killed Captain Frost. For this alone, he will not forgive Lin Yan. Although I don't like the hypocrisy of Ross, he did a lot of meaningful things and helped many people rebuild their homes. Khalifa also spoke. Lin Yan's killing of Frost will obviously make the bandits in this universe more rampant, and many people will be displaced as a result. Good people, I think you may have some misunderstandings about good people. Lin Yan looked at Gabe and Khalifa with disdainful eyes, and said lightly. Could it be that in your universe, you let your men destroy other people's planets, and then go out to kill them yourself, and then sell the destroyed planets at a high price to fill your own pockets? This kind of guy is also considered in your sixth universe, nice guy. Lin Yan doesn't just think that this guy, Frost, will die so cheaply. After he has done so many harms, he will be worshipped by all people after he dies, and will be praised for generations. Killed so many people, destroyed so many planets, left countless people homeless, and their families were destroyed. This kind of person should be let him be infamous forever. Of course, Lin Yan considers himself a great saint, and the survival of other planets in the sixth universe has nothing to do with him. Just hate the hypocrite for Ross, let him live like this, it's a bit too cheap for him. Nah, Nani, what the hell are you talking about, I can't understand at all. Gabe shook his head. Actually, he understood what Lin Yan was saying very well. It's just that he doesn't believe that Frost will be the kind of person that Lin Yan said. You mean to say that those universe pirates who attacked other planets are subordinates of Frost? He was also the one who put down the riots, and then rebuilt the destroyed planets, and sold them to make money for himself. Quote. Khalifa also has an unbelievable expression on her face. How is this possible? Even though he hates Frost, it's a little too unbelievable. That's right, that's it. The hero, the savior, and the good man Forte Ross you speak of as such a good man. Lin Yan nodded and said lightly. No. Impossible, Captain Frost can't be the kind of person you mentioned at all, you are simply an excuse to avoid responsibility. Hearing Lin Yan's words, Gabe yelled directly at Lin Yan this time. I didn't expect that Captain Frost was dead, and this idiot would put such a dirty hat on him. It is unforgivable. Idiot, if I want to evade my responsibility, I can destroy you at will, and leave without anyone noticing. Why waste my tongue with you mentally handicapped? Lin Yan scolded directly. Gabe, this guy, I don't know if he's out of his mind or really stupid. Can't see a clue at all. Lin Yan, do you have any evidence to prove what you said? Looking at the angry Lin Yan, Khalifa asked. Lin Yan's strength is obvious to all. Even if all the people on the planet Sharada add up, they might not be his opponent. Although I was careless about the gravel, I also knew that it was not a wise choice for that guy Gabe to piss him off. Lin Yan adjusted his mentality, and continued to speak. Feel Foster's wrist yourself, is there a poisonous needle? Poison needle. Hearing Lin Yan's words, Caulifla hurried forward to check. When he touched Foster's wrist, he really felt a small hole. Picking it up and looking at it, I saw a sharp thorn in that small hole, shining coldly. Really poisonous needles? Caulifla said in surprise. Obviously this result was a bit beyond his expectation. Hearing Caulifla's words, Gabe hurriedly walked in front of Caulifla, and also saw the poisonous needle in the small hole. Why does Captain Nonani Frost hide the poisonous needle in his arm? Gabe's face was very ugly. At this moment, he actually believed Lin Yan's words completely in his heart. If I hadn't accidentally appeared on this planet, you guys would have died in the hands of that good man. Seeing that Gabe and Caulifla basically believed her words, Lin Yan said coldly. Presumably this news will soon spread in the 6th universe. After all, Frost has a very high popularity in the 6th universe, and that kind of popularity is comparable to the popularity of Mr. Satan on Earth in the 7th Hand universe. After the words fell, Lin Yan suddenly smiled coldly, and disappeared in place with a flash of his body. When it reappeared, it held 2 big men in universe suits in its hands. And these 2 people are Bit and his partners who came to take over the follow-up work after the planet Sharada was captured. Frost's confidant. They are those bandits. Caulifla recognized the 2 of them at a glance, with angry flames in her eyes. The person in front of her was the fool who used a poisonous needle to trick her into drinking Kelly. If I'm not mistaken, you are the confidants of Frost's men who attacked the planet for him. Now tell them all about the deeds between you and Frost, and I don't need to kill you. Lin Yan threw the 2 of them on the ground and said to Bit. He had sensed these 2 evil auras a few minutes ago, and combined with Frost's method, he probably guessed it. The 2 trembled, feeling that the god of death was beside them and would take them away at any moment. Because just now, they saw the horror of the person in front of them with their own eyes. And now Lord Frost is dead. As long as he can save his life, there is nothing he can't say. Then, Bit told everything in full. And his news is basically the same as what Lin Yan said. This, my lord, you can let us go now. After telling Gabe and the others about all of Frost's deeds, Bit begged in a fearful tone. Before Lin Yan could speak, a beam of energy appeared in Caulifla's hand, piercing Bit's chest. For why? Bit looked at Caulifla and Lin Yan in horror. Didn't they promise not to kill themselves? Sorry, he promised not to kill you, but I didn't promise you. The universe man named Bit finally opened his eyes wide and fell to the ground with a dead eye. The other universe person beside him was already frightened, his face was pale, and his body was trembling uncontrollably. After Caulifla killed Bit easily, she aimed her palm at another universe person, obviously not planning to spare him. Wait a moment, Lin Yan shot suddenly and blocked Caulifla. Keep him, I'm still useful. Lin Yan said to Caulifla in an irresistible tone. He has just come to the 6th universe, and he doesn't know much about it, but he is very clear about his next goal, which is to fight with Hit, to see if he can improve his strength in the battle with Hit. By the way, copy Hit's flash time skill. If I use my time pause ability to cooperate with the flash time skill in the future, there must be very few people who are my opponents. But one of the many problems facing me now is that I don't know where Hit is. That guy is a killer, so he is almost nowhere to live, and it is difficult for him to find him. But maybe this person in front of me might be able to help me. Cut, do whatever you want. Facing Lin Yan's stop, Caulifla could only say a word coldly, and then stopped her movements. Anyway, the guy who made a dirty trick on me just now has been killed by me, and the mastermind, for Ross, is also dead. You know a guy named Heater? Lin Yan asked directly to the universe man. Hit, do you mean Hit, the strongest killer in the universe? The universe man looked at Lin Yan with a trembling expression and asked with fear. That's right, it's Hit the killer. Do you know how to contact him? Lin Yan then asked. No, the universe man nodded. Hit claims to be the strongest killer at the universe level. In fact, it is not difficult to find him. Of course, the main problem is that the money must be in place. I think you must have collected a lot of ill-gotten wealth following Frost for so many years, and now you use the money to entrust Hit to help me kill a person. Lin Yan said with a cold tone. Contains irresistible majesty. Master, who do you want to entrust Hit to help you kill? Looking at Lin Yan's indifferent expression, the universe man asked in a trembling tone. I was afraid that if I answered slowly, I would be killed for no apparent reason. Lin Yan. Lin Yan opened his mouth lightly and spit out 3 words. What? Zhou Ren seemed to be doing it for a reason, and confirmed with a look of astonishment. Not to mention him, even Gabe and Caulifla, who were on the side, looked blank. Is that guy Lin Yan crazy? He wants to hire Hit to kill him. Caulifla thought in horror, this is the first time she has heard of such a thing. I commissioned Hyder to kill myself. Wasn't it clear enough? Looking at the puzzled faces of the crowd, Lin Yan spoke again. In fact, he is not afraid of Hit killing himself at all, or in other words, with Hit's strength, there is no way to kill himself. Hit's strongest skill is the flash time skill, because this trick escapes the shackles of time, so many opponents can't do anything about it. But now, I also have the ability to pause time, and my ability to pause time can last up to 10 seconds. And Hit's flash time skill should only be able to flash for 0.1 seconds. So for himself, Hit is not too difficult an opponent. Clear. The man from Universe nodded dully, and it was the first time in his life that he heard that he hired a killer to kill him. But at this time, he didn't dare to say anything more, for fear of offending the life abd in front of him, he would slap himself to death with one slap. Since it is clear, you can go. Lin Yan said directly and coldly. He knew that the universe people in front of him would definitely handle this matter properly. Hearing Lin Yan's words, the man from Universe felt relieved instantly, and stumbled away from everyone's sight as if fleeing. The moment they stepped onto the spaceship of Universe looked in the direction of Lin Yan and the others with resentment. Wait, soon you will all be corpses. Then, the Universe spacecraft flew directly out of the planet Shirata. After the Universe person left, the entire planet Shirata seemed to restore calm in an instant. Senior Lin Yan, please forgive me for being reckless and indiscriminate. At this time, Gabe suddenly walked in front of Lin Yan, looked at Lin Yan with some guilt, and said in embarrassment. TCH, I thought you were going to continue being stupid. Lin Yan glanced at Gabe and said angrily. Hearing Lin Yan's angry voice, Gabe scratched his head in embarrassment. His behavior just now was indeed a bit stupid. If it wasn't for Lin Yan's sudden appearance, maybe a few of them would really have died in the hands of Frost this time. Thinking about it now, I'm really a little scared. Senior Lin Yan, why did you let that guy hire Hit to kill yourself just now? Gabe can only change the subject to ease the embarrassment at the moment. Because I want to be stronger. Lin Yan also stopped fussing so much with a character like Gabe, and replied simply and clearly. Change, be stronger. Gabe was stunned suddenly. Yes, only by becoming stronger can he protect the person he wants to protect. In fact, I also urgently want to become stronger to protect this planet and this universe. Lin Yan, do you know how powerful Hit is? At this time, Caulifla also stepped forward to look at Lin Yan and said. Hit is the strongest killer in the universe. As long as he wants to kill, no one can escape. In this universe, no one wants to be topped by that guy Hit. This guy is lucky, he hired Hit to kill himself. So she really couldn't understand why Lin Yan would have the idea of dying like this. Is it relying on one's own strength to be powerful, or is it purely for death? There is nothing you can get for nothing. If you want to become stronger, you have to pay a price. Lin Yan said lightly. Although Hit is very strong, he believes that after fighting Hit, he will become stronger. Hearing Lin Yan's words, Gabe and Caulifla both thought about it thoughtfully. Indeed, there is no such thing as getting something for nothing in this world. Opportunities and dangers often go hand in hand. Senior Lin Yan, what are your plans now? Gabe looked at Lin Yan and asked. Although Lin Yan said that he was from the 7th universe, which made him a little confused, but he knew from his tone that he was not from their planet Shirata. And I have performed missions on many planets and have never seen a human with a tail like Lin Yan. I just arrived at this place, and I haven't made up my mind yet. Lin Yan answered truthfully. he really didn't think about where he should go and what he should do before Hit's arrival. Originally, I wandered on the edge of the 7th universe for 2.5 years, and almost gave up on the plan to come to the 6th universe, but this time, I accidentally came to instant transmission, so I didn't think much about it. Consider. Then why don't you come with us to the Sharada King City? Our king especially worships the strong, and he will definitely like you. Gabe said with bright eyes. It could be seen that he was very excited. In fact, Lin Yan is very bright in his heart. Gabe, after seeing Kale and Caulifla become Super Saiyan one after another, is also very eager to become a Super Saiyan himself. So their king likes to be fake. Let me teach them to practice as their main purpose. Ah yes, our king admires the strong very much, Lin Yan. Anyway, you have no idea where to go now, so come with us to the King City. After Caulifla looked at Gabe, she quickly nodded in agreement. After finally meeting such a strong master, how could he let him go so easily? All right, Lin Yan nodded. In fact, he really has nowhere to go now, and there seems to be nothing else to do except wait for Hit to find him. So Lin Yan could only nod in agreement, and follow them to the Sharada King City. If Hit still hasn't found him after 3 months, then he can only go back to the 7th universe. Because half a year later, artificial humans on the Earth will appear. Seeing Lin Yan nodding in agreement, both Gabe and Caulifla looked excited, so they can take advantage of this time to compete with Lin Yan. And that guy must have other advanced transformations. Lin Yan must teach them a few. Caulifla has already started to make wishful thinking in her heart. Looking at the excited expressions of the two, how could Lin Yan not know the little mischief in their hearts? Then he walked straight in front of Kale. Lin Yan pointed his right hand directly at Kale, and a little bit of dark red energy starlight injected into Kale's body, and the wound on Kale's body was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few breaths, Kale's injuries had already healed, and the eyelids of Kale, who had been in a coma, moved slightly. Nani, who the hell is this guy, who even knows how to heal? Seeing that all of Kale's injuries healed in almost an instant, both Caulifla and Gabe opened their mouths wide in surprise. The Saiyan of their Sharada planet doesn't have such weird abilities. The image of Lin Yan seems to be covered with a veil of mystery, which makes the two of them feel very curious. A few seconds later, Kale woke up completely, and seemed to still have a lot of hostility towards Lin Yan. Senior Lin Yan, without further ado, let's set off now. Gabe saw that Kale was already awake, so he looked at Lin Yan and asked for advice. In this world where strength is paramount, the strong will always be sought after no matter where they go. Even if some are not sincere. How long will it take to go to the royal city you mentioned? Lin Yan looked at Gabe and asked. According to our usual speed, it will take about half a day. Gabe told the truth. It usually takes about half a day for them to go out on missions. Of course, that's because there are other companions whose strength is too low. At his pace, 5 or 6 hours is enough. It's too slow. Are there any people with high combat effectiveness in your Sharada King City? Lin Yan spoke again. The half-day flight time is indeed a bit too slow for Lin Yan now. There is, our king, whose strength is almost the same as ours. Gabe nodded seriously. Although I don't know why Lin Yan asked this question. Is that so? Lin Yan read a sentence brokenly. With 2 million combat power, his aura should be very easy for him to capture. Then his eyes slowly closed. Found it. You guys, hold on to my shoulders. Lin Yan turned around and said to the 3 of them. What? The 3 of them looked confused, not knowing what Lin Yan was going to do, but they still didn't hesitate. Put your hand on Lin Yan's left arm. It's embarrassing not to reach the shoulder. 0. Then point the index finger and middle finger together between the eyebrows. After the bodies of the 4 shook slightly for a few times, they disappeared in place. When it appeared again, it had already appeared in a magnificent palace. What's going on here? Why did we appear in the palace in an instant? The 3 of Gabe and Caulifla looked at a loss. What happened just now? Not to mention them, the guards on the side and King Sharada sitting on the throne were shocked when they saw the 4 people suddenly appearing. Gabe, Caulifla, Kale, how are you guys? King Sharada looked puzzled, looking at a few people, obviously wanting to know what's going on. This, Gabe and Caulifla are also in a state of confusion. they also want to know what happened just now. What method did Lin Yan use to make them appear in the palace in an instant? But for Lin Yan, the two feel more and more admiration. As Gabe and Caulifla said, their king is indeed a proud guy who worships the strong, and after knowing his own strength, he treats himself very politely. In this way, 5 days passed quickly. And in the universe, a purple figure gallops at a high speed. Looking at that direction, it is obviously heading towards the big planet Sarah. Another 2 days passed. During these few days, apart from practicing by himself, Lin Yan also went to teach Gabe and Caulifla if he had nothing to do. Of course, it's just pointing at random, teaching them how to perceive chi, control chi, etc. After all, they are soft-spoken, but they haven't reached the point of teaching them all. In this way, when it comes to the tournament of power 8 or 9 years later, the 6th universe will not be too weak and be eliminated casually. Of course, although the cultivation talents of the 3 of them are quite good, they pale in comparison to themselves. This breath, is it hit? Suddenly, Lin Yan felt a powerful aura appearing on the planet Sharada. In the entire 6th universe, Hit must be the only one who can have this kind of terrifying aura, right? After all, gods of destruction Champa's divine breath cannot be sensed. From this point of view, Hit's efficiency is still very fast. After all, it has only been less than 10 days since I first arrived in the 6th universe. Okay, a strong breath, who is it? At this time, Gabe and Caulifla also stopped their cultivation, feeling that powerful aura. Since Lin Yan taught them to perceive the aura, when that powerful aura appeared on the planet Sharada, they also quickly sensed it. Is it heat? Caulifla thought for a while before speaking. Even when she became Super Saiyan, she could feel the horror of that aura. Apart from Hit, of course, there is also Lin Yan in this universe. I am afraid that no one has such a powerful aura. No one else but Hit. Lin Yan nodded, and then pointed his fingers together between his eyebrows, trying to follow the breath of instant transmission. After all, if you fight in this royal city, it will affect many innocent people. Senior Lin Yan, let us go with you too, Gabe said with some excitement. For a long time, Hit's name has been resounding in the universe, but they have not really seen what Hit is like. I have never seen how strong Hit is. This time is just a chance to see the strength of the #1 killer in the universe. If Lin Yan loses, they can also help. Yeah, I really want to see the fighting power of you and Hit. It must be detached. Caulifla also said excitedly. She admires Lin Yan's strength, even if the 3 of them have become Super Saiyan, but when they really fight, even if they join forces, there is no way to win. As for Hit, being able to be called the universe's #1 killer who has never missed a shot is certainly not for nothing. If these two fight, it will definitely be a super burning battle. If you don't know it, you will definitely regret it. You can go, but I will not be responsible if you are affected and die. Lin Yan looked at the excited two and said bluntly. But what he said was not a joke. The battle between him and Hit will definitely be quite fierce. Even the situation is so intense that I can't control it, and I don't have time to protect them at that time. Since they want to go, they must first make the awakening of death. Sister, let's not go. Kale pulled Caulifla's arm behind Caulifla, and whispered. With a timid look, hey Kale, we're Super Saiyan now, what are you afraid of? Besides, you just need to transform in a flash, maybe you can beat Hit in strength. Caulifla looked at the timid Kale and said. If I had a transformation like Kale's, I wouldn't be afraid of anyone at all. After being told by Caulifla, Kale could only nod obediently. Catch me. Seeing that the 3 of them had decided to go over, Lin Yan turned his head and said. Caulifla and the others had experienced Lin Yan's instant transmission ability, so they stopped hesitating and directly grabbed Lin Yan's arm. In an instant, the bodies of the 4 disappeared in the practice field again. At this time, Hit had already appeared on the edge of the planet Sharada, and now he was on top of a peak, feeling the breath of Lin Yan. Immediately afterwards, there was a clear sound of piercing through the air, and the figures of Lin Yan and the others appeared at the foot of the Goodyu mountain where Hit was standing. An open field. Hey Hit. Looking at the familiar figure on the mountain, Lin Yan called out directly. Purple skin, the familiar purple-gray windbreaker with his hands in his pockets. It is exactly the same as Hit in Dragon Ball Super, there is almost no change. After all, Hit is over 1,000 years old. In just a few years, the appearance will not change at all. Then, is that Hit? Just standing there gives people a strong sense of oppression. Gabe looked at Hit, frowned and said, with both hands in the pockets, it seems that there is no defensive action at all, but it gives people a feeling of invulnerability. TCH, I don't think he seems to be very good. Caulifla, on the other hand, spoke carelessly. I thought Hit was a tall, mighty, muscular man. It doesn't look like there's anything out of the ordinary. Lin Yan, right. Hearing Lin Yan's voice, Hit turned his attention to Lin Yan and the others. Then there was no movement at all, and the body disappeared out of thin air. Almost instantly, almost no time at all. Even Lin Yan didn't feel how Hit disappeared at all. Lin Yan knows that Hit must have used the flash time skill. Although Hit can only miss 0.1 seconds now, for a strong player of their level, 10.1 seconds can sometimes completely determine the victory or defeat of a battle. Someone paid a lot of money for your life. Suddenly, an emotionless voice sounded from behind. Gabe, Kale, and Caulifla turned around in an instant as if 0.1 was a hell. He looked at Hit with a look on his face. How did you appear behind us? Caulifla asked incredulously. In an instant, Hit appeared behind them, and they didn't feel the fluctuation of Hit's breath at all. Good, frightening speed. Gabe's face was terrified. If Hit wanted to attack them at this speed, he would be able to kill them almost instantly. But what Gabe didn't know was that just now, Hit didn't just use extremely fast speed, but directly jumped out of the time constraint. But Lin Yan turned his head slowly, raised the corner of his mouth and said, Shining Time Kung Fu is indeed very powerful. You actually know the flash time skill. Hearing Lin Yan's voice, Hit's body visibly trembled slightly, except for a hint of surprise on his face. But this surprise is fleeting. What can I do if I know it? It is impossible for someone to decipher my flash time skill, it has not been done before, and it is absolutely impossible to have it in the future. I know a little bit. Lin Yan nodded and said. Hit in front of him tried his best to hide his aura, but that aura was still like a spring, so powerful that people couldn't ignore it. After all, this guy is the Super Blue that can fight. Vegeta has no chance to fight back, and he was easily dealt with without even touching his clothes. Moreover, in that match, he was not able to use his best killing moves, so he controlled his power, otherwise, Shaolin Vegeta would have been completely killed by him in a few rounds. It doesn't matter, because in my eyes, you are already dead. Hit still had Furui Wubo's expression, arrogant and haughty, but his indifferent expression didn't change a bit. In his eyes, Lin Yan is just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. This kind of person, he has killed a lot, and will kill more in the future. Really, you are a little overestimating yourself, Hit. I won't be killed so easily. Lin Yan suddenly grinned. Standing in front of him, Hit felt like the blood in his body was boiling violently, and the desire to fight made him uncontrollably excited. Hit may not be as powerful as the violent Broly, but his flash skills and killing skills are definitely not what Broly can compete with. Presumably even Saiyan Kair, who is Xuanchao, will be killed in a few rounds in his hands. This is the real strength of Hit, not just strength. Stand back. Lin Yan didn't look back, but said to Caulifla and Gabe behind him indifferently. After hearing Lin Yan's words, the three of them quickly withdrew and landed on the top of a mountain hundreds of feet away. Senior Lin Yan, can he beat Hit? Gabe clenched his fists tightly and said in a low voice. If there is no way to defeat Hit, there is only one result, which is to be killed by Hit. Che, that guy Hit is trying his best to control his aura, but his strength is still beyond our imagination, and what he is best at is not strength, but the means of killing people as a killer. It's hard to judge who wins and who loses in this battle. The proud Caulifla also said with a frown at this time. Hit's super strong breath made her feel desperate. After Gabe and Caulifla retreated, Lin Yan's center of gravity sank, his fists moved forward and backward, and he made a fighting posture. Come on Hit, let me see your flash skills. The corner of Lin Yan's mouth curved slightly, and he said to Hit. In fact, he wanted to say, come on Hit, let me see whether your flash time skill is better or mine is better at time suspension. Mu Yan made a fighting posture, but Hit didn't answer, but took his hands out of the opening, clenched into fists, and blocked in front of him, one at a time. The index finger of the clenched fist is raised high, which is more lethal. Although he knew that Lin Yan in front of him was not his opponent, but he had to admit that his strength was indeed different from the previous prey. It also seems to be very powerful. This is a killer's perception ability. Although it is a simple gesture, it is absolutely flawless. Seeing Hit, Lin Yan said lightly. Hit's actions made him wonder how to attack. It seems random, but there is no flaw at all, and it really deserves to be the #1 strongman in the 6th universe, the 10th killer. Lin Yan didn't intend to attack first, but Hit obviously didn't want to waste too much time, because he still had a lot of tasks to do, and it was impossible to waste too much time for Lin Yan alone. Then the body flashed out. The speed was not very fast, at least in front of Lin Yan, it was true. Phew. Even so, Hit's body was still 3 feet away from Lin Yan in an instant, but at this moment, Hit's body completely disappeared. It was as if at this moment, the whole person disappeared into the universe out of thin air. Then, Lin Yan felt a sharp pain in his mouth. Hit's fist landed heavily on Lin Yan's chest, and a cone-shaped energy wave directly penetrated Lin Yan's body and burst out from the back. Lin Yan retreated 5 or 6 steps in a row to stabilize his figure. Shan Shikong, it's really powerful. I didn't see his attack clearly at all. Lin Yan didn't panic, but smiled and said. This kind of result seemed to be within his expectations. Fortunately, Hit's strength was not very strong. Although he hit his vital point, it was only a little painful. And no real harm. However, Hit's attack almost completely disappeared at the moment of the shot, so he couldn't judge where Hit's attack would land on his body. Okay, so powerful, I didn't see clearly how Hit's attack. Gabe blinked his eyes dully, and said inexplicably. Hit's attack speed has completely exceeded his comprehension, as if breaking through the time limit at the moment of the attack. The speed is not fast, but his attack can't be seen at all. What's going on? Caulifla also looked puzzled. The moment Hit flashed out just now, the speed was very fast, but it should not be as good as Lin Yan, but at the moment of attack, the whole person disappeared almost instantly. This made them, who didn't know the skill of flashing time, confused. Show your strength. Don't be killed by me before you show your strength. Hit looked at Lin Yan coldly, and said in an even colder tone. He knew that Lin Yan in front of him didn't show his full strength, and he was relieved that Lin Yan gave him a very powerful feeling. After discovering the flaws in your flash time skill, I will naturally show my strength. He still smiled lightly tonight and said. In fact, Hit's flash time skill is not difficult to break, as long as he attacks the moment, predicts his attack action and route in the next 0.1 seconds. After all, in Dragon Ball Super, Son Goku has already stated the method of breaking the flash time, but this method is easy to say, but not so simple to do. Is there a way to break my flash time skill? There was a hint of disdain in Hit's tone. How could someone crack his flash time skills? Such a person simply cannot exist. Don't believe me? Then you can try it. Lin Yan smiled coldly, with a confident look. Hit stopped talking nonsense. The body flashed out again, and in the middle of the attack, the body suddenly disappeared. Page. Next, Hit's fist directly hit Lin Yan's neck, where the aorta is, which is also a vital part of the human body. Lin Yan staggered and slid uncontrollably to the left for a certain distance. There was a gust of wind and pain in his neck, which affected his breathing a bit. Hit stopped talking nonsense, and his body flashed out again. Bang bang bang. In almost an instant, Lin Yan's body was already heavily punched by more than 10 punches. Hit's last punch landed directly between Lin Yan's eyebrows, and his strength was much stronger than at the beginning. Lin Yan was directly sent flying a distance of 10 feet, and his body fell heavily to the ground. Oh, I didn't expect that after showing the real strength, the strength is really a bit big. Lin Yan stood up slowly, and a smear of bright red blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. It seemed that Hit's attack just now had obviously injured Lin Yan. However, although I have received many punches from you, I still have a good grasp of your attacking skills. Afterwards, the corners of Lin Yan's mouth slightly raised, and Taguchi said. Who are you with me? Hit was unmoved, and said coldly. He absolutely does not believe that Lin Yan can master his own attacking skills. He definitely wants to use this to delay time. Whether it's you, you'll know right away. Lin Yan spoke with confidence on his face. And on the top of the mountain hundreds of feet away. Senior Lin Yan was being beaten all the time, he couldn't see through Hit's attack at all. Gabe frowned and said worriedly. Going on like this is not an option. If Senior Lin Yan is beaten passively like this, he will definitely lose, and even be killed by Hit. I don't think so. Didn't you see that Lin Yan hasn't become a Super Saiyan? It means that he hasn't shown his full strength. And, even with so many hits from Hit, he didn't suffer any serious injuries at all, which means that he has been testing Hit, looking for the weakness of Hit's attack. After hearing Gabe's worries, Caulifla explained. So, she doesn't think Lin Yan will lose this battle. After listening to Caulifla's explanation, Gabe nodded thoughtfully. Indeed, Senior Lin Yan never became a Super Saiyan at all, so he didn't show his strength at all, and he was able to resist so many attacks from Hit. It's enough to show how strong he is. Then Hit, I'm ready to attack. Looking at Hit, Lin Yan smiled coldly. It's just pointless struggle. Hit said coldly with disdain. Lin Yan didn't want to show his tongue again, and with a flash of his body, he rushed directly to Hit. The fist shot towards Hit like an arrow from the string. And Hit was unmoved at all. Just when the fist was only 2 centimeters away from Hit's eyebrows, Lin Yan suddenly stopped the attack. His hands blocked in front of him like lightning. The next moment, Hit's fist hit Lin Yan's crossed arms directly. Nani, it's impossible. Hit was shocked instantly. How could this guy predict his own attack? Impossible, it's absolutely impossible. Senior Lin Yan, you actually took Hit's attack. Gabe's face was incredible, he still didn't see how Hit attacked. But Senior Lin Yan actually took over. Could it be that, as Caulifla said, Lin Yan has been testing Hit just now, accepting the attack and slowly mastering Hit's attacking skills? If that's the case, then it's too strong. See, I knew that Lin Yan had been testing Hit just now, in order to find Hit's weakness. Seeing that Lin Yan took Hit's attack, Caulifla said proudly. I feel as proud as if I took Hit's attack. Next, Lin Yan grabbed Hit's arm, and at this moment, the small words that read, blue, appeared on the retina again. Copy object. Hit 6th universe. Skills that can be replicated. Flash time skill, flash time space, breath clone. Reproducible talent. Pure growth. Skills that cannot be copied. Prison of time, time freezing skill. What? In Hit's copy column, there is a skill that cannot be copied. Lin Yan was stunned suddenly. Could it be that Hit hadn't fully mastered these skills, so he couldn't copy them? But Lin Yan doesn't want to worry about it now. Duplicate Hit's skills and talents. Lin Yan thought directly in his mind. Copied skills. Flash time skill, flash time space, clone of breath. Copied talent. Pure growth. Lin Yan looked at those few lines of blue small characters, and his heart was filled with excitement. To be honest, copying Hit's skills and talents made me more excited than copying Kaylee's super talent. After all, with Brawly's high cultivation talent and potential, Kale's passing super has actually become less important. But Hit's flash time skills are not the same as pure growth. Hit was able to grow his flash time power to 0.5 seconds in the short time of fighting Son Goku, which shows how fast he has grown. Maybe 0.5 seconds, Yuan Zhao Haojiao, is far from the limit of flash time skills. After copying Hit's pure growth, the speed of growth will not be weaker than Hit's. This is definitely a powerful killer. Afterwards, Lin Yan let go of Hit's fist and looked at Hit Song with a smile on his face. Slowly said, the real battle starts now, Hit. Seeing the haughty arc of Lin Yan's mouth, Hit pouted. Don't think that you will get carried away if you block an attack. I'm not getting carried away, but I will block all your next attacks. Lin Yan still had a strategizing smile on his face. After copying the flash time skill, Hit will have nothing to do with himself. If you use the flash time skill and the time pause ability at the same time, you can definitely kill Hit easily. You're not ashamed to speak out. Although he knew that Lin Yan might have figured out some ways to deal with his flash skills, but it would be naive to think that he could deal with his flash skills based on this method. Obviously, Hit didn't want to waste any more time. Because of Lin Yan's ability to adapt, he felt an uneasy feeling. Although I am very confident, I can't let the guy in front of me continue to grow. After thinking about it, the body flickered, and in an instant, the entire space seemed to condense at that moment. Hit stores time and uses the stored time to create a space where he can move freely and leave a clone in reality. Let the opponent see him, but not attack him. In the flash time space, Lin Yan's body seemed to have completely turned into a stone statue in Hit's eyes, standing there motionless, waiting for his own attack. This blow will end you. As soon as Hit gritted his teeth, this punch almost exhausted all his strength. I plan to solve Lin Yan completely. Fist pointed straight at Lin Yan's throat. Hit's fist almost touched Lin Yan's Adam's apple, but at that moment, his complexion suddenly changed. Nonani, clone, because in an instant, his fist penetrated Lin Yan's throat without hindrance. Don't think you're the only one who can do it, Hit. Suddenly, a faint banter came from behind, and Hit's heart thumped. After yelling badly, "You must dodge." But it was obviously too late. The next moment, Lin Yan's fist landed directly on Hit's temple. A cone of purple energy gushed out directly from Hit's right temple. Hit's body immediately flew out like a kite with a broken string, and was heavily embedded in the mountain. And at this moment, Hit's flash time space also completely disappeared. Nani, what happened just now? Both Gabe and Caulifla looked dull. They had clearly seen Hit's attack hit Lin Yan's throat just now. Seeing that Lin Yan was about to be killed, how could the situation turn around in an instant, and Hit was knocked out? They didn't see at all what happened just now. Lin Yansang seems to have used the same attack method as Hit. At this time, Kale Abe, who had been silent on the side, suddenly spoke. Because she vaguely saw just now that Lin Yan's fist hit Hit's temple, his attack was almost exactly the same as Hit's attack just now. Is this a fight between gods? Gabe said helplessly, let alone intervene in this kind of battle, they can't even see clearly. Wow Kaka, is this the strength of our Saiyan? It is so strong that there is no limit. One day, I will definitely reach the strength of Lin Yan. No, I want to surpass him. Caulifla's face was full of excitement, and she clenched her fists tightly. In the past, he just thought that their Saiyan was quite strong, but he didn't have a concept at all. Only now do I know that Saiyan's potential is so huge. As Saiyan, since Lin Yan can achieve this level of strength, so can I. Gabe and Kyle looked at Caulifla with some doubts. Lin Yan's strength was almost beyond their fierce level, although Caulifla became Super Saiyan. But the gap with Lin Yan is like a huge difference, it is not so easy to overcome. And after half a minute, Hit's body finally came out from the pile of rubble. That Red's pupils were full of turbulent waves. That guy, how could he use his flash skills? Hit narrowed his eyes slightly, staring at Lin Yan closely, unable to figure it out at all. Did he learn it from fighting himself just now? Impossible, it is absolutely impossible to have such a talented and intelligent person in this world. I can't believe it even if I beat him to death. But Lin Yan's attack just now, he can be 100% sure that he used his flash time skill. No matter what method you use to learn my flash time kung fu, it is absolutely impossible for you to beat me, absolutely impossible. A gloomy voice popped out of Hit's teeth word by word. Then clenched his fists tightly, and a deep roar came out from his throat. Ha! Accompanied by bursts of roars, blue and purple vortices surged from Hit's body, wantonly. Hyder's aura suddenly increased. Are you ready to go all out? Looking at the breath around Hit, Gabe said in surprise. That breath is obviously much stronger than before. Maybe Hit has other trump cards. If Lin Yan can also use Hit's attack methods, when he becomes Super Saiyan, no matter how Hit improves his aura, he will not be able to defeat Lin Yan. Caulifla said firmly. As a Super Saiyan, she understands that after changing from a normal state to a Super Saiyan, her strength will increase 50-fold almost instantly. And Lin Yan's transformation seems to be different from them, the skyrocketing and even more terrifying. No matter how Hit's chi improves, if he doesn't have other cards, he will definitely not be able to deal with Lin Yan. Is this about to start upgrading the flash time skill? Lin Yan looked at Hit and muttered to himself. He knew that Hit had no way to improve his strength through transformation like their Saiyan did. But his flash time skill can grow and upgrade. After half a minute, Hit finally stopped roaring, and the blue-purple air vortex around his body completely disappeared, and he couldn't feel a little change. Hit's chi didn't improve at all. You are the first opponent that made me feel pressured. Before I met you, I never thought about it myself. My flash time skill can grow to a higher level, because there is no that is necessary. Hit looked at Lin Yan with cold eyes, and said lightly. And now, I have expanded the flash time skill to 0.2 seconds. In the next battle, you have no chance of winning at all. Hit's voice is full of absolute confidence. Expanding the flash time skill to 0.2 seconds, is it not just as simple as doubling your own speed and attack? There is a huge difference between the 0.2 second flash time and the 0.1 second flash time. 0.2 seconds. It doesn't seem so unattainable, so I will go all out. Lin Yan smiled faintly, and then straightened his expression. With a shake of his arms, he opened his posture, and the terrifying bright green flames poured out instantly. At this moment, Lin Yan's aura almost increased by 100-fold. Black's hair immediately stood up high and turned golden yellow. It suddenly became Super Saiyan. That guy's aura has soared by more than 100 times in an instant. Hit frowned, looked at Lin Yan and thought to himself, but he was not too surprised. After all, from the very beginning, he felt that Lin Yan in front of him was different from his previous opponents. There seemed to be a terrifying energy in his body. And now, it's just to bring out this energy. After Lin Yan turned into Super Saiyan, his feet touched the ground, and his whole body disappeared instantly, leaving only the exploding ground. When it reappeared, it was already in front of Hit. Stormy fists poured down on Hit. Facing this terrifying melee attack, Hit could only fight and retreat, because Lin Yan's speed had been brought into full play at this time. And he also mastered the flash time skill of 0.1 second, so when he attacked, Hit felt a feeling of difficulty. In the next second, Lin Yan's fist landed directly on Hit's chimney. The moment the muffled sound spread, Hit's feet rubbed against the ground, and he retreated, a distance of tens of feet. The complexion is very ugly, very dignified. Because Lin Yan's attack just now was too fast and too dense, so there was no chance for him to use the flash time skill at all. After knocking Hit back with a punch, Lin Yan turned into an afterimage again the moment Lin Yan landed on the ground, and charged directly at Hit. In an instant, the distance between the fist and the tip of Hit's nose was only a few centimeters. But the fist has stopped abruptly, stagnating in midair. And Lin Yan's pupils were suddenly locked, showing a look of pain. You're too confident in your speed. Hit looked at Lin Yan coldly, and said lightly. At this time, Hit's fist sank heavily into Lin Yan's abdomen, and then purple's light shot out directly from Lin Yan's lower back. Hit slowly withdrew his fist, and Lin Yan fell to the ground in an instant, with his hands on the ground, panting heavily. I have to say that Hit's fist just now was really heavy enough. If he was normal just now, maybe just this punch would be enough to seriously injure him. What happened? Senior Lin Yan was knocked down by Hit. Seeing Lin Yan propping his hands on the ground with a painful look on his face, Gabe said in astonishment. Obviously just now, Senior Lin Yan has been occupying an absolute advantage, and he has been suppressing Hit all the time. Why did the situation change drastically in just a split second? And more importantly, he still didn't see Hit's attack clearly. Hit's attack is sharper, and the speed is faster. Lin Yan may not be able to keep up with Hit's speed this time. Caulifla also spoke nervously. That guy, Hit, seemed to have broken through his limit in the battle with Lin Yan just now, making his attack more aggressive and his speed more difficult to capture. Of course, she and Gabe didn't know the terrifying skill of Shan Shigong. Ha ha ha. But at this time, when Jia Bei and others looked worried, Lin Yan, who was putting his hands on the ground, suddenly laughed. Then he stood up, although his face still showed pain, but his appearance was mixed with uncontrollable excitement. What are you laughing at? Lin Yan's inexplicable laughter made Hit a little confused. He didn't know that Lin Yan could still laugh after being punched hard by him. I didn't expect that your attack speed would reach such a terrifying level after increasing your flash time skill to 0.2 seconds. I'm really surprised. Lin Yan raised his head, looked at Hit's face, and spoke with a faint smile. Compared with time pause, flash time kung fu also has a great advantage, that is, there is no need to suffocate to perform flash time kung fu, and almost no need to consume any physical energy. As for the time pause ability, although it is more perverted, it consumes quite a lot of physical energy to use it. Especially compared to opponents who are stronger than you, consuming too much physical energy is a very dangerous thing. The flash time skill perfectly made up for this defect. As long as I use the flash time kung fu after performing the time pause, even if the time pause lasts for a year, I can completely eliminate the opponent during this time. And my physical energy consumption will not be too huge. Give up. With a flash time of 0.2 seconds, you have no chance of winning at all. Hit looked at Lin Yan with a smile on his face, and said coldly. After growing his flash time skill to 0.2 seconds, he has absolute confidence to defeat Lin Yan and kill him. Give up. Don't worry, the winner has not yet been decided. Lin Yan shook his head slightly, and said to Hit. Since Hit was able to grow his flash time skill to 0.2 seconds in such a short period of time, since he copied his pure growth, there is no reason for him to upgrade to less than 0.2 seconds. Aha! The next moment, a deep roar came out from Lin Yan's throat, and the bright green arrogance shot up into the sky instantly, forming a huge beam of light, straight into the sky. That breath is much stronger than the previous hit. After half a minute, Lin Yan's roar finally stopped, and the terrifying breath was withdrawn from his body little by little. Reduced to the intensity just now. How? How is it possible? Could it be that that guy also increased the flash time skill to 0.2 seconds? Hit finally couldn't calm down, and a look of shock appeared on his face. If this is the case, then the guy in front of him is too terrifying. Just after fighting against him for such a short time, he actually learned his flash time skill, and it also grew to 0.2 seconds. Then, I'll let you see that my time manipulation ability is not just a flash time skill. Lin Yan raised the corner of his mouth slightly, revealing a slanting arc. Time pause. Then, I suddenly called out the words time pause in my heart, and I held my breath. In the next moment, the time of the entire space seemed to be completely suspended. Hit's body was completely still, and Gabe, Caulifla and others were also motionless. At this moment, everything was in a state of complete stillness. And Lin Yan's body flashed out. Almost instantly, Qixi suffered hundreds of attacks. With the last blow, Lin Yan's fist landed heavily on Hit's chest, and Hit's body flew upside down, slamming hard into the distant mountain. When Lin Yan exhaled a foul breath, the whole mountain collapsed with a crash. A mouthful of blood spat out from Hit's mouth. And all of this happened in just over a second. What's going on? Hit was completely stupefied this time, because he had bursts of severe pain all over his body, and he was already seriously injured. But the terrible thing is that I don't even know how I was attacked just now. He didn't have any impression at all. He knew that he must have been attacked by Lin Yan, but he didn't know what happened. This kind of attack is absolutely impossible to the extent that flash time kung fu can do. That guy, he seemed to say that his time manipulation ability is not just flash time skills, does he have even more terrifying stunts? Thinking in his heart, Hit was just about to stand up when his body staggered and fell down again. The attack I received just now was so severe that it is very difficult for to stand up now. Nani, what happened just now? Seeing the suddenly collapsed mountain peak and Hit who fell to the ground, Rube and Caulifla were once again in a daze. If Hit and Lin Yan's speed made them hard to catch before, then they didn't even know what happened just now. I didn't feel it at all, as if their time was suddenly taken away for a while. You lost, Hit. Lin Yan walked up to Hit step by step, looked down at Hit who fell on the ground, and said. In just 1 second, I performed the time pause and flash time skills at the same time, attacking Hit 100 times. No matter how strong Hit was, he was definitely seriously injured. It's not enough to fight again. Cut. Hit snorted coldly, and now he really has no strength to resist at all. Just like the fish on the exhibition board, it is ready to be slaughtered. In fact, from the moment he became a killer, he knew that sooner or later there would be such a result. After all, if you often walk by the river, how can you not get your shoes wet? In this world, there is no permanent General Chong Sheng. Lin Yan walked towards Hit step by step, and slapped Hit directly on the ground. A touch of dark red energy came directly from Lin Yan's palm and injected into Hit's body. Hit was startled. He thought he was going to die. Because from the very beginning, he had the idea of killing Lin Yan. After all, this was his job. If he failed, he was also prepared, and he would die. But at this moment, he actually felt that the injury in his body was recovering little by little. Lin Yan is healing himself. How could this be possible? Since he was here to kill him, why would he heal himself? Lin Yan naturally saw Hit's doubts, so he said lightly, "It's a pity for an opponent like you to die." Indeed, if Hit is missing from the Tournament of Power 10 years later, a lot of fun and excitement will definitely be lost. Presumably, after Hit was defeated by him this time, with his arrogant personality, he would definitely try to make himself stronger and then defeat himself. Of course, I, who also learned the Flash Time skill, will never be surpassed by Hit. With my current cultivation talent, I am looking forward to what kind of situation I will grow into 10 years later. Half a minute later, Hit's injury had completely healed. "You go," Lin Yan said to Hit with a confident arc on his face. "Are you really going to let me go? I won't stop chasing and killing you. If I just let the tiger go back to the mountain like this, won't I regret it?" Hit narrowed his eyes tightly, trying to see what he was planning from Lin Yan's eyes. But apart from smiles and confidence, nothing can be seen. "You can't kill me." Lin Yan shook his head. This time, Hit and his own strength may be the closest. From now on, the strength gap between them will only become bigger and bigger. There will never be an intersection. Che, what a confident guy that makes people uncomfortable. Hit gritted his teeth, then turned around and disappeared from Lin Yan's sight. "Cultivate well, Hit, I hope you can surprise me the next time we fight." Looking at Hit who was leaving, Lin Yan said in a low voice. And just after Hit disappeared completely, the three of Gabe and Caulifla jumped up and appeared in front of Lin Yan. "Senior Lin Yan, you are really going to let Hit go like this?" Gabe asked with some puzzlement. For a strong opponent like Hit, many people would kill him and then quickly. Lin Yan let him go just like that. Isn't he afraid of his revenge in the future? "Why not?" Lin Yan looked at Gabe and asked back. "Anyway, after today, Hit's strength will never be able to catch up with his own. At most he can be regarded as a capable training partner. Not a threat of any kind. Lin Yan, you are really super powerful. I didn't expect that you even defeated Hit, the #1 killer in the universe." Caulifla's eyes shone with excitement. At this moment, the rock in her mind was incomparably huge. Hit, in her opinion, it was an existence that was always out of reach. "It's okay, I just used 1/10 of my strength." Lin Yan curled his lips and said calmly. What he said was the truth. If he had turned into a berserk state, maybe the strength he showed just now might not be 1/10 of it. However, the reason why he was able to defeat Hit so quickly just now is mainly because he copied Hit's Flash Time skill and used the ability to pause time. Otherwise, it would not be easy to defeat Hit by strength alone. "TCH, you'll be so pissed off after just one compliment, you're such a no-nonsense guy." Caulifla gave Lin Yan a look of contempt. She didn't know that what Lin Yan said was not an exaggeration, but that he really had that ability. "Senior Lin Yan, since Hitler has been defeated, let's go back." Gabe was still excited and wanted to go back quickly and ask Lin Yan what method he and Hit used just now. It turned out to be so powerful. "Go back, I should go back to my universe." Lin Yan looked at the excited Gabe and said. "It has been 2.5 years since I came out, and there is still about half a year before the appearance of artificial humans. It is time for me to go back, otherwise, if I am late and Son Goku has no special medicine to treat heart disease, the situation will become very serious. Bad." Nani, are you leaving?" Hearing that Lin Yan was about to leave, Gabe said a little disappointed, but Lin Yan didn't belong to their planet Shirata in the first place, so it was reasonable to leave. "Well, when we meet next time, I hope to see you stronger. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more."